Hello. Hey, everyone. Yay, you made it on time. Thanks. Thanks, Gavel. I'm glad I see Steph B, I love, and Sassy True. Hi, Sassy. IP Clean, thank you. Hi, Peppermint Mocha. Didn't that used to be Schmocha? Or am I thinking something else? Lead with love. Love the purple hearts. Thank you. Thank you, love. This might not be a popular stream, but we're gonna do it anyway. Hey, Grandma Sherry. Hi, Laced and James. So I was trying Hi, Elise. I was trying to load up Summer's picture because I truly believe whenever we are speaking about Summer, we should have her picture up. And unfortunately, my laptop was not having it. Like I have to put it into downloads to load it. Excuse me. And it just wasn't, I couldn't get it there for some reason. But that's okay because we'll make where there's a will, there's a way, right? So we have Overlooking Eyes YouTube page. We've got Summer's info in the banner. And we're just going to share this poster because she's sharing a lot of good stuff. And I'll get into that in a minute. But she's sharing a lot of on her community tab. I haven't, I'll be honest, I haven't watched any of her videos, but I love that she is sharing out these posters and banners and is doing something tangible, right? I was working in my yard all day today. It's a beautiful day here. I hope it's beautiful where you are as well. And we're prepping our pool to open our pool for the summer and pressure washing our. I got to pressure wash my back patio, which I love pressure washing. It's very satisfying. But I was listening to a live this morning when I first started uh, working outside, and I think it was actually Jones's first live that she did this morning. And afterwards, since I was away from my phone, it just YouTube automatically just plays the next video. And I'm sure since I've watched so many creators that cover summer and I've looked up so many things about summer, it just goes into streams about summer, which I don't mind. I love, even if they were ones I had heard. But it got frustrating because it went into the stream about her parents and when they were up on panel the other night. And I'm sure everyone here has probably heard that already. But it just had me thinking. It had me thinking a lot of thoughts that I wanted to come online later and share with you guys. But first, I do know that there might be people listening to this later, or maybe people here now who don't know what happened to Summer Wells. Well, none of us know what happened to Summer Wells, but they don't know her story. And so I just want to share real quick before we get into this. I'm going to drop the link. I want to hear everyone's opinions on this, but I want to share what TBI has released on Summer Wells. Their last update was on November of 2022, and it was a very generic update. It said the investigation into the circumstances surrounding the disappearance of Summer Wells remains active and ongoing. In order to preserve the integrity of the investigation, we cannot discuss specifics. Unfortunately, we have no new updates to provide publicly. Should we develop new information that could help in locating Summer, we will notify the news media and the public immediately. The information released by the TBI throughout the investigation, including a list of frequently asked questions, can be reviewed below. And this was back from, it was updated on the 1 year anniversary of her disappearance, which let's call it the 1 year mark because I don't like anniversary, but on the 1 year mark of her disappearance. It said as at approximately 6:30 p.m. on June 15th, 2021, Summer Wells was reported missing from her home on Ben Hill Road in the Beech Creek community of Hawkins County. At that time, no one imagined we would still be searching for her a year later. We said from the beginning that this case is outside of the norm. There are few clues as to what happened to Summer, despite investigators doing everything within their power to find answers. All possibilities are still being explored. Many of you have asked for details about what's been done in the last year. We can tell you that agents and detectives have worked thousands of hours on this case. Numerous search warrants have been executed, cell phone data has been analyzed, and any other available digital evidence has been collected, searched, and documented. This includes the social media accounts of those associated with Summer. Notice it doesn't say her family, with those associated with Summer. Three large-scale ground searches have taken place in the last year with the assistance of more than 100 local, state, and federal agencies. Those searches don't account for the numerous other targeted searches that agents and detectives have done while following up on potential leads. Numerous other, they don't just say one, numerous other targeted searches. From TBI alone, more than 100 agents, intelligence analysts, and support staff from across the state have been involved in this case. TBI agents working alongside the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office and the FBI have conducted nearly 170 interviews during the investigation. I'm sure that number is much larger now. That does not count the hundreds of phone calls made to follow up on tips reported to law enforcement that were the result of non-factual information posted on social media. While investigators have been diligently working to find answers, they've had to deal with hundreds of tips generated by false information that in some cases has been intentionally spread across social media platforms. That's what we're going to get into. To date, we've received well over 2,000 tips. The vast majority of those pertain to rumors and speculation. We know that this case has attracted the attention of many across the country who genuinely care about Summer and want nothing more than to help find answers. And we appreciate that interest. However, we are also aware that some individuals are using this case for their own personal gain by spreading false information on social media posed as facts. Some go as far as to solicit donations. This has had a major impact on the investigation. Moving forward, we ask the public not to submit tips as a result of a video you have viewed on YouTube or a theory you have seen posted on Facebook. Please help us and only call if you have direct, specific information about the disappearance of Summer. We can't begin to express our gratitude for the support and assistance from the Hawkins County community and surrounding areas. The Mount Carmel Free Will Baptist Church provided the location for a command post during all of the three large-scale searches. Numerous organizations and businesses made sure search teams and investigators had food, drinks, and other supplies. The contributions of the members of each rescue squad and volunteer fire department within Hawkins County simply can't be measured. We also appreciate the cooperation of the property owners in Beech Creek, most of which gave us whatever access we needed. We want to assure everyone who has been a part of this investigation or who has been following this case that it is not cold. We continue to follow up on potential leads and will not give up on finding Summer. Below is an updated list of the questions. We'll go through those real quick. Is this considered a cold case? No. Investigative work continues to occur almost daily. Is the Amber Alert still active? Yes. An Amber Alert remains active until a child is located. When was Summer last seen? Her mother reports last seeing her on the afternoon of June 15th at their home in the 100th block of Ben Hill Road. In order to preserve the integrity of the investigation, we will not provide additional information regarding the timeline. Have you searched the home and property around the residence? Yes, more than once, including the basement, crawl space, all vehicles, outbuildings, barrels, and other items located on the property. Additionally, canine teams specializing in a variety of search methods have also been utilized. Have you searched the phones and computers belonging to the Wells family? Can you believe these are frequently asked questions? Yes, working alongside the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office and the FBI, numerous subpoenas and search warrants have been obtained. resulting in any available digital evidence being collected, searched, and documented. This includes social media accounts. Have you analyzed cell phone data? Yes, cell phone data and cell tower data have been analyzed. Have you searched the flower bed? I giggled a little there because it reminded me of Brian Laundrie and the flower bed situation. There was not a flower bed. Summer's mother and grandmother stated that she was planting. The flowers were planted in pots, and yes, the pots were examined. How many ground searches have been conducted? 3 large-scale searches have occurred. Dozens of other targeted searches have been conducted over the last year as a result of investigators following up on leads. Have you searched waterways in the area? Yes. Dive teams were brought in to search bodies of water in the area on several different occasions. Have you conducted aerial searches? Yes. Numerous searches from the air have been completed. Additionally, drones were used to map the area and to pinpoint bodies of water as well as any other points of interest. Will additional searches be conducted? Investigators will continue to search points of interest as they are developed, as well as follow up on all tips regarding Summer's whereabouts. Have you collected and reviewed surveillance video? I was going to say photo and it came out photo. Video. Yes, we've collected surveillance photos and video from a variety of locations. Additionally, the entire area was canvassed in an effort to locate any residential cameras that weren't voluntarily reported. Please keep in mind that Beech Creek area of Hawkins County is very rural with few businesses and no traffic cameras. Have you questioned the parents? Yes. Both parents have been questioned more than once. Have you questioned others that were in the home at the time of Summer went missing? Yes. Summer's brothers have been interviewed along with others who stayed in the home in the months before her disappearance. Have you questioned neighbors and searched their properties? Yes. Have you questioned registered sex offenders in the area? Yes. Is there evidence that Summer was abducted? None that we've developed at this stage. However, we continue to investigate all possibilities. Is the FBI involved? Yes, they've been involved since the Amber Alert was issued. Additionally, in the first week, the FBI Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team responded to the area. FBI agents continue to assist with the investigation. Why did you release information about a Toyota truck? An individual who travels through the area regularly as part of his job stated that he recalls possibly seeing a 1998 through 2000 maroon or red Toyota Tacoma with a full bed ladder rack and white buckets in the truck bed. The individual stated that the truck might have been parked in the area of Beech Creek Road and Ben Hill in the late afternoon to early evening on either Monday, June 14th or Tuesday, June 15th. That vehicle was not captured on surveillance cameras. In an effort to cover all bases and identify the driver, the TBI, in agreement with the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office and the FBI, released the vehicle description. Our hope was that the individual might have information that could help the investigation. The driver has not come forward, nor have the hundreds of vehicles reported to us as matching the description panned out. That's all their questions. And I just wanted to, I know everyone here has probably read through that themselves 100 times, at least I hope so, or they know all of that. But I feel like it gets lost, and it's gotten quite lost here on these YouTube streets, in my opinion. So I'm going to take a drink, skim through side chat. No, kids don't magically just disappear, but it does happen sometimes. Dawn and Candace are criminal masterminds who fooled all these different, right? They got past the card team. They got past the FBI, other FBI agents. They got past TBI. Correct. There is a difference between a named suspect and a law enforcement officer saying everyone's a suspect. But their actions on YouTube don't help them any. Yes, she absolutely went missing on the 15th. No bones about it. According to what we know from law enforcement. Yep, I was sad to hear that too. I really was, Bex. It made me nauseous. It made me sick to my stomach and nauseous are the same thing, but I'm gonna add it in there too. It was like a double whammy. It's a punch to the gut. Um, the language used was vile, and there's no excuse for it. And in my opinion, there's no excuse for the creator who allowed it to continue on their panel. I agree. I agree. I don't think some understand how reporting tips that they heard of some info that's unverified can really affect an investigation. It makes the true ones hard to see through the dead ones. It's sad. It truly does, because any tip that comes in, any tip at all, law enforcement has to investigate it. They have to. And it slows down if there were real tips in the beginning and all that. It slowed it down. It's insane. Okay, I got back and everybody's just saying hi, which is great. I'm glad you guys are all here. Right now on YouTube, they're saying Don and Candace first one suspect. I'm guessing you're meaning first suspect, number one suspect. I'm like, where do they, Ellie, say that? They don't. They sure don't, do they? In my opinion, at this point, not all, but certain creators are absolutely that's okay. That's what I want to talk about. Showtime Productions. Thank you for bringing me back around to the topic. And I am going to drop this. If any creator wants to come up and talk about this, if you have a different opinion, that's fine too. I'm all for it. Have we gotten to the point on YouTube where we are harming way more than we are helping? I I hear these streams over and over, day after day of summer. When I was actually thinking about going live about something completely different about the Oklahoma case tonight. And when I hopped on YouTube to look around, I think I saw 4 lives currently happening about her. All of it old information, old things that have been gone over time and time again. And I feel like we are currently stuck in this cycle. We are back to the beginning, back to square one. Let me throw up a screen real quick, Burden, and I'll make sure that's you. I'm getting better at this whole not looking to get porn bomb thing. You there, love?
I'm here. I'm here with all the
Okay,
porn. Be careful.
just making sure. Okay.
No, it's
But I
safe.
feel
It's very smart of you to do that. It is.
I feel like we are back at the beginning, back when I first came to YouTube in the end of October, beginning of November of 21, and all of this was taking place of the Wells hopping on panels, creators vying for that attention to be the person to have the Drunk Wells show on their panel that night. People spreading false information, false narratives, leads, getting the chat all riled up. It's just over and over repetitive cycle that doesn't seem to be going anywhere. And I feel like, am I the only person that views all of this as insanity? Like we are literally doing the same things over and over and over and expecting a different result.
Here is why I see it is that they saw the math equation that occurred back then and it grew channels. And so they're repeating the math equation, knowing the outcome. And yes, those people are, in my opinion, harming the case by doing that. I don't feel everyone on YouTube is harmful to cases across the board that
Correct.
happen. I think a lot of good can come from using this platform, but it needs to be used responsibly and respectfully. And that's just not what some of these people are. They're not responsible and they're not respectful. And all they care about are clicks and views and financial gain. And so I think that's why it feels like a repeat, but that's their goal. That's exactly what they want out of this.
So
And
you believe it's the creator's goal to exploit the situation?
absolutely, or they would say no.
Mhm.
If they had any integrity and truly care about this baby, they would not allow this to happen. I could tell you, I haven't sought out Don. I
Right.
haven't sought out any of them. And if they ever were to find their way, I would say, come on up here. Let's talk about it. And if there was something that they wanted to say, and I gave them that opportunity because I'm not going to say they can't speak on their daughter. However,
Right.
if they were intoxicated, I would shut it down very respectfully and I would either clip that part out or I would just put it on private because I think it's all exploitation and I
Mhm.
personally don't agree with it and wouldn't have that on my channel. Talk behind the scenes with the parents if you think that you can help them in some way and then relay the message. But to put him up there when he is in the state he's in, we know he can't control his mouth, the things that come out of it. Everybody then runs with that. So you got people,
Mhm.
look at this. He's talking about whooping on his grandson, and we know what Don does and what he says, and
It feels like it's become more about Dawn Wells than it has Summer Wells. And I know that you have to talk about Dawn and Candace to share Summer's story, but that's not what I mean by saying it's become more about Dawn than it has about Summer, because it feels like to me that people are just more interested in sharing the shit show. Yeah, I said it. They're more interested in sharing that and talking about that than talking about this gorgeous little baby girl right here.
100% because they don't they you don't see them put up her picture, they don't put up the information of when she was last seen, what she was wearing. You don't hear bring up Don and ask about Summer. Who was Summer? I know he talked about that he would bring home candy for her and she would run down and couldn't wait for daddy to be home and where's my candy. And those kind of stories are what we should be talking about and keeping focus on Summer rather than Don's history, him getting arrested and him behaving in certain manner.
Mhm.
So yeah, I agree with you completely. Hmm.
And my question to everyone is, and if anyone has an answer to it, is what can we do to help? Like what I feel helpless when it comes to Summer Wells's case. I feel like it's frustrating even if I were to just do clips, like I don't even want to clip that stuff anymore and it just feels exhausting and I'm sure it is for several creators that this whole runaround just keeps continuing and continuing, and her name and her story gets lost in all of this. And I'm not putting the blame on any specific creator or anything like that. And that's one of the reasons shared Overlooking Eyes' page here. Like I said, I don't know what her content is about, but her community post, she is out there sharing flyers. She's sharing them, in real locations. She also has, and if I'll drop her link. She also has a way to share out banners that are linked back to TBI, not to anyone's YouTube page or anything like that. It's linked to TBI. And, she's posting these all over. She shares a video on how you can order these banners for yourself to spread out if you want to. So there are creators out there doing something, doing things to spread awareness.
I think
What
we
that
need to keep.
doesn't get
Go
is,
ahead.
tons of clicks and views and attention.
It doesn't, and that's I think that we need those that do have the integrity and we do have the right reason of why we discuss the case or cover them. And those that follow the creators that are like that, I think needs to continue to push that. They need to continue to share out. If you see a post like you're sharing, everybody should be sharing it, flooding YouTube with actual information about Summer and not flooding it with the person creator that had done up and behaved all kinds of ridiculous ways. And so, because then it does far outweigh it. In my opinion, it will outweigh it. And it's kind of like let the light of those that have the right reasons um, shine
Let that
so that
shine
they're
brighter.
exactly right. Yep. It
Miss
kind of
Harmony, is that you there? Just making sure. Miss Harmony, are you there? I don't know if she's can hear us or not.
Okay, sorry, I had myself mute.
I
Oh,
was
you're
gonna
fine. I
ask.
just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I haven't been on Streamlabs forever, but I just came in at an opportune time because you're sharing a poster, and I wanted to also let you know. I think we're on Twitter, so you probably know all this information because I think that you shared mine, but I thought I'd let the audience know too. So,
Yeah.
the only way that I can help is by getting her poster out and getting her name out there. I have traveled extensively over the last 3 years, especially, um, and then after COVID. So I was wondering if it's okay with you. What I did was I took the poster. Sorry, I took the artist Kathleen L. Pacino, who is a progression sketch artist. I don't know if you've heard of her.
Yeah, well, I've seen I think you tagged me in it on Twitter and
Yes,
I
I
saw the
did.
drawing. So yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
haven't heard of her prior to that, but I did
yeah.
see the age progression drawings. Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't heard it prior to it either. Someone sent it to me when I was away. And so what I did was I used her I used her age progression pictures and then went to the official Family Wells page. And then what I did is I made a new missing poster so that people can share them on their social medias or do what I'm doing, post them around your town, uh, anywhere, community centers, bus stations, train stations, uh, uh, anywhere they can, right? Um, so what I did was I've put out over probably 300 so far. Um,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So I have done them in two different sizes because I noticed that when you're like in a community center, they don't want them too big. They only want them like actually a letter size, right? And
Correct.
then in the bus stations, they are a little bit bigger. And then when, like for Mexico, for example, I traveled from all the way from Cancun and I drove all the way down to the bottom and then went outwards. So in Mexico, what is really neat is that they use, when you're walking down the streets and things like that, and it could be like, for example, in Playa de Carmen, they have, as you walk down, it's a beautiful place. Like it's so fun, right? And they have placed really nice artwork along the way in between where there's no signs. You know how sometimes they have that in towns where there might be graffiti or whatever? And then they have an area that's there with for just missing posters, missing people. Most of them seem to have been like women and like a lot of young girls, and those are bigger and they are pasted on, so they you make it their size, which is very large, so it could be uh maybe 18 by 18, and it's paper. And then what you do is you hand it into the person who's going to paint. They use a special kind of glue that goes over it, and
Okay.
so I did that. And so she's in black and white in those ones. Some of them are color, some of them aren't. And then also, they have newspapers also for missing people, for like Chicago as an example. Every single week they come out with a new one, and it's about 60 pages of missing people. It's so sad because there's so many, but they've categorized them too. So it could be men, women, adults, couples, children. So I've been putting, because we don't know where if she's missing, where she could be. So I put
Right.
in four. There's four a year for children, and I just don't put summer in that one. I put some other missing children that I have got to know through my crime sleuthing and various other things in that too. So I put that four times, but those pictures are really tiny, and they usually just use the face, and then they put, so it's really small, but people buy them all the time. And I went to North and South Europe. So, for example, Belgium, Switzerland,
Mm-hmm.
Netherlands, um, uh, Portugal, Spain, Madrid, uh, then I went over to Poland. So north and south. So the same kind of concept there. And then Dubai and then Egypt. And it's because I traveled to the places where if they are going to relocate a child, or someone's going to buy a child or something, those are the locations that they would be in more than anything, because people, can pick up a child and relocate them. Or there's so many people out there through my ventures that I've learned who literally sell their own children or buy children. And there's even, when I was in Thailand, for example, there's women who are so poor that will be a baby maker to sell children. It's crazy world out there, but it's
Yeah,
true.
it is.
Yeah,
It is a
yeah.
crazy world. And like you said, we just don't know. We don't know
We don't know.
where she could be or anything like that. And I know that that's why so many people, myself included, hang on every single word her family says online. I get it. I truly get it. My question is as creators, should we not be doing better for Summer than to allow that to happen, the things that have been happening, displaying her parents drunk on channels.
Well, it's good that you brought that up, because actually I have to take accountability for my conduct at the beginning too, when it first came out of the gate. I also posted all of that. I would clip them, not like
Mhm.
as good as you, but I would just clip whatever they
Oh, I'm
did.
sure they were great.
I would
Yeah.
just clip them and say, "Here's Candace in this condition," or when she was like
Mhm.
the big one was when Candace was looked like she was dead in the chair on I don't know what. I remember using that one. And then I remember using, I was actually in the live when had Dawn on the night with CM with when he got busted. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yes, I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. So I clipped that. And then
Mhm.
a good friend of mine, White, had Donnie on. And for the longest time, I remember reaching out to Donnie for at the very beginning, because I advocate in victim services. That's my job. So I meet people like him and various other people, who are ready. They're at that stage where they're going to court, or they may get incarcerated. So my position is to offer them services. I can't really offer services to Donnie, but I can offer him um, some resources, some ideas of what he could look into in his area. And I reached out to him, and he was very appreciative of all that. This is way before he got arrested. And I can't work in the States or anything like that. So I can only offer him services. And then when he was arrested, uh, I reached out to him again and said, "This is probably what they're going to offer you. And when you go to jail, just so he could get a heads up, because I didn't know if he had any any sorts of advocacy or any sorts of persons that could offer him the support. Like, I know that, he was in with the church, and I don't even like to mention his name. Uh, it begins with T. I just, the production or whatever his role is in there, who does everything
Oh,
for him.
Tim.
Yeah,
Tim.
I don't even like to
Mhm.
mention his name because it's just behoots me that he's even involved. And so, again, he thanked me again. And then he, of course, he was incarcerated, so we didn't have very much. But I really only get a lot of the information from clip channels like yours or other people. Tracing Truth, I've known for since KJJ's. So sometimes I will go in and catch up on the deets, right? But other than
Right.
that, I kept on thinking, because I used to go live, I used to have the platform, but I just got to a point where, as a curator, you get attacked no matter what, and you get hate mail. And I just had too much going on in my life, and trauma on top of trauma. It wasn't healthy for me. So basically, I use my Twitter feed. I'll occasionally drop down a video now and then. I haven't done one, but I've been traveling too. So it's been really, really difficult to be kept with the same time zone, especially. So I had in the back of my mind, I always said, why won't they get a curator to get on and just really keep things chilled so he's not freaking out and have a normal conversation and everything like that? And White Boy did a interview. I don't know when. I'm lost in my time frame here because I'm just getting back from my big, huge 4-month journey. I think it was a week ago or something, but maybe you watched it. And it was really good. This was the Donnie that I was hoping that finally somebody would have him on the platform, being normal, being calm. And I noticed that he was calmer with him than anyone else. As far as all of the other stuff, I hear about it, but I just cannot watch it. I can't handle the arguing or whatever it was. But it seems like he's trying to turn a new leaf, and he's trying to now be a better, calmer person and not get caught up in it. But he still gets caught up in it. You know what I mean? So
As
Right.
as
when he,
creators, I feel like
yeah,
we know what they do on lives, and I think it should be the creator's responsibility to not have them on a live, but to instead do a recording with them off air, talk, have an
Thank you.
interview, and truly learn about Summer, and then anything that he may say in it, if it's like wild, it's not necessary, and it doesn't help find Summer, and then
mhm.
upload that. I think
That's a
that
It
great
could be edited.
idea.
Yes, it can be
yes,
That's a great
completely edited
idea.
out and handled in a much more appropriate manner. Now, that's not saying that you want to hide who the parents truly are. It's just 2 years later, we know who they are. We've seen who they are.
exactly.
This is
Yep.
nothing new, but what it does is it takes away from Summer,
It's
and it
It
all a
makes
does.
her
distraction.
Perry.
But
Yeah.
the other thing is somehow he got looped into this new drama crama crime genre that just started. Well, it has always been there. Even with KJ days, it was a mess. It wasn't about her. I was green when I came out on the platform, and I was serious, and I'm a fact finder. I'm probably one of the less favorites because I stick to the facts. I research like crazy, and I bring out what can help maybe solve or get solutions to what we are seeing in crimes. But there was attacks upon me since the gate. As soon as I opened the gate, it's like, she can't have this experience behind her. She can't do this, and I was doxxed, you name it. I've gone through it too. The hate. But it gets to a point where I want to keep value and I want to be valuable. So if I can't do it on a platform, if I can't do it at like lives like you guys are doing, I'll do it in other
Mhm.
ways. I'm still advocating. I still have done tons of things. I just don't talk about it because as soon as if I was to say, oh, I had a search going on for blah blah, somebody would go, "Oh, really?" and blah blah blah. It would start something, right? And I don't know why they want to pick on people who are trying to do something, instead of saying, "Hey, that's great," and encouraging it. But it's the way somehow media has gone. Social media has gone off the rails. We've just got so many people talking about so many curators instead of. And I found that I would go up on a panel, and all they wanted to know was about me. And I would be thinking, what's this got to do with me? It's got to do with the person or the crime that I'm talking about. And I just didn't get it. I just didn't understand it. And I thought, this is not for me. And then they started doxing me. They were lying about me. I mean, you name it, they did it. I went through the ropes, but I got caught up in it too. And I would defend
We all
myself. And
do.
I would go on panels, and I got to tell you, in the KJ days, I was probably the scariest person because nobody went ballistically nuts, crazy like I did. I mean, we have it now.
Right.
We're used to it when we see the F bombs coming out every second and the threats and all this stuff, right? Now it's
Mhm.
like we're accustomed to it. We want to see the boxing ring going up there, which is really sad. Like when I hear Donnie's on a panel and I know what panel he's going on, I know what's going to go on, but I know also there are some people who really try. I'm going to try to make a turn the other night with him. But the weird thing is he's sitting there hating on the family, and then Donnie comes up, and then Donnie's trying to explain to him. He is bopping around. I am reading a bit of the comments, bopping around. But what I think he's trying to do is say, listen, I made my mistakes. I was terrible at all of this, and I'm taking an accountability, and I'm going to be nice. And he seems to be calmer and trying to turn a new leaf. But people still will bring up the baggage. If people will still bring up the baggage, maybe even chat, people will recognize who I am and say, oh, she's this person, she's that person, don't talk to her. You'll never get rid of the bad. But as Keith Richards said, like, no, bad press is good press in a way, it is, but we don't like it to be that way because the circle keeps going, and the information keeps going the same way about the person instead of about, like you're saying, the topic of what is the objective of what it
Right.
is.
It needs to
And
be
and
made
I kind of want to reel it back in a little bit here and get back on our current topic. And I think that, initially what you came up and expressed that, you
Right.
don't feel like you can share this stuff on YouTube anymore, create on YouTube. So in turn, you have gone to Twitter and you're just sharing out her images and whatnot. And I think that that is a good option for some. So I do want to thank you, Miss Harmony, for coming up and sharing
Can
that.
I just show the picture? Do you want me to just show the picture of what I've
I
done?
I did. You might not see it because
Oh,
I
okay.
I can go back and show it one more time.
Okay. Well, thank you.
I dropped your link in
Oh,
the
okay.
chat earlier, and then there's
Okay.
the picture that you share out on Twitter,
Yeah,
and,
you can just print it out
I
and
think that
everything like
that's a
that.
great idea.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
and
everything
I
like
just
that.
wanna thank you for popping up and
Okay, thank
sharing
you.
that. I've got another back here, so
Okay, take
I'm gonna
care.
give oh, well, they thank you, love. Oh, they dropped down too. Whoever that was, I didn't catch your name.
they might come back up, maybe.
Yeah. Can you talk for 1 second, Bird, and I need to sneeze or cough?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. No, well, just off of that, it's if in fact there is a creator and they're bringing negative light and they're aware that they are, that needs to be made very clear that the discussion is not about the creator, it's about Summer. And if you aren't re-pushing everybody back in the direction of Summer, or it's too much of a distraction, that is bad for the case. And so it would be best to
Mhm.
then step back and remove yourself, because anything that takes the eyes off Summer is a problem. And that all needs to be excluded and removed. And Summer needs to be the full center. It has to be that way.
The full
And
focus, right.
absolutely. Hmm. Yep.
And I feel like on top of creators, and that's why I just wanna keep that general, that I know for some creators it is about clicks and views, and I know also for some creators, they probably started out with good intentions, and it's just snowballed into the tornado, hurricane crap show that it is today, and possibly don't even realize it. I've been there myself. But what about the subs? Because what is fueling all of this is subs going in and encouraging these behaviors, encouraging these channels, encouraging all of this to happen. And then I'm gonna point the fingers at myself. I wonder how much is have I encouraged it by clipping some of this crap and sharing it out. And I just got so disheartened today listening to a bunch of this audio that kept streaming through and, like, am I adding to the harm as well? And I feel like that is something that we all need to ask ourselves. If we're not helping, then what are we doing? And if I'm sharing out bad behavior, even in the name of awareness, could it also be harming? You know? And I just feel completely lost on what we can do for this beautiful little girl. I don't know if anybody else felt that way, but that's kinda where I am at this moment in time, and it's so frustrating.
Yeah, and so like the Glare said, it's crappy people doing crappy things and convincing themselves that they're Summer's army and advocates for her, and it's true. You do have,
Yeah.
and it's a selfish thing for you to even claim that you, well, I am her army and I am this. You're still putting it on you. Like I don't know if they realize that though, that it
I don't
shouldn't
think they
be a
do.
that's part of the issue with this is they are part of the issue and like claiming that we're her army. No, what is going on? Just talk about Summer and only info on Summer. And anytime it starts to turn inward, that's when people need to recognize that they're going in the wrong direction. And I think that,
Mhm.
yeah, like you said, a lot of people don't even realize they are. And and
A
yes, I
lot
mean,
of people put ownership on this baby girl, and
yes,
cl as much as am I feel attached to Summer and her case, she is not my daughter. She's not my niece. She's not even my best friend's child. She's somebody else's child, and we don't have ownership of her, and I think some of us do need to remember that, because when you take ownership of something, I think it begins to spiral.
I can't remember where I heard it exactly, but it came from Don, and he said something about um, if Summer saw what all of you are doing and you're using her name in it and it's for profit and gain and uh, she would not be happy. She wouldn't be love that person. She would be angry. Like you are hurting. And that's the end kind of all of this is she did love her mom and her dad. And so in what way is it helping to continue to bash them for their behavior? Also to act as though everybody else like we're better than them, continue to step up and be like, oh, look how bad they are. Look, we already know. It doesn't need to keep
Mhm,
being talked about. But I agreed with Don when he said that if Summer is found and she comes home, and when she finds out what everybody online has done, she's not going to be happy about that. And I actually agree. I completely agreed with him on that one.
yeah.
That I think it is absolutely disgusting what is
And
happening
and
online.
it you're right, and it doesn't even matter what our opinions are, because I know that there are some of us that have the mindset that if she is, found or located, that she won't be going home. And then there are some of the mindset that, they've lost hope in her being found alive, and I get everybody's thoughts and feelings and their directions of where that, they think that this case is gone, and that's not what I'm talking about. And I don't maybe because I'm so frustrated, I'm not getting my point across, but, like, here, Electro, who I love, she says, or he, I don't know, "You can't blame all the community to think when them themselves put this crazy information when they should be 100% focusing on their daughter." I agree with you completely. 110%. I agree that what they're doing to their own daughter's case is tragic.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
It it
for
it
sure.
it's horrific what they're doing to their own daughter's case. I can't control that. I can't control anyone, but I feel like can we not do better as subs and creators? And if we can, what can we do? That's the question I'm trying to pose.
I think that stopping them from going up on lives is a huge step. And I'm not saying that people cannot have interviews with them to discuss Summer and keep the focal point on her. They absolutely can. I wouldn't be mad at a creator if they did it off the air, record it, and put up information from Don and Candace that would be helpful or meaningful to even just discuss who their daughter, who is she? What did she enjoy doing? And leave it, there is a respectful way if you do want to hear from Don and Candace for this to be done, and to also stop showing their wild, crazy activities that they do. And I think that there is a way that it can be done, but again, I had seen in chat that it doesn't get the views. And that's the part that's up to the creator. Do you care more about clicks and views, the number of people in chat, and monetary gain? Or do you care about this missing little girl? Period. That's it. That's all. Which one? Which one's most important? And sadly, many choose that they want to have a large audience. So they're going to cover it
Correct.
in the way that's complete disrespect to Summer.
Because it's what you as a creator, you find your niche, you find what keeps your subs coming back, what keeps their attention drawn, and even if it's something negative, you're going to keep perpetuating that to get that back, to get those subs back in every night, to get those views every night. And so if that means exploiting her parents, then it's, going to be the continued exploitation of the entire Wells family at this point. And I agree with you, Tracy, 100%. The parents didn't invite anyone to do anything except share her info. It spiraled and went crazy immediately. I am drawn back to Brandy, and I don't compare the Wells. I just don't. But I'm drawn to what she has said, share my child's information. She even turns her head if people are uh, speaking badly about her family or spreading I think she tries to wrangle in some misinformation, but she's just saying, if you're going to talk about my child, share their information. I don't see a lot of that happening in some of these channels. Some of them are, they've just become the hosts of like the Jerry Springer show, rest in peace. But they just want to see, father and neighbor up on their panel screaming and yelling at each other. And then, oh, can we turn it into this? Oh, can we turn it into that? How is any of that helping Summer Wells? How?
Yep.
And then am I playing a role in contributing to that? It's just a question that's going through my brain and I can't get it out.
I get that to some extent there are some that want to show the bad behavior to get others to recognize that. But at some point, I do get what you're saying, where there does have to be a line where you've shown it and people have chosen to either accept it, understand it, and do better, or they've chosen to ignore it. And so then I do see what you're saying. There does need to be a point where you've put it out there, it's there to be found, but not continue. Yeah, I see what you're saying completely on that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get it.
And I get that, I want to bring awareness to people who are spreading misinformation or they're exploiting. That's the whole reason I started my channel. But is it just, another pile on in the whole scenario? Is it helping? Does it help at all?
It
I
could
don't
help
know.
if it's pulling some people back into reality, snap out of it, and recognize that I get YouTube is for entertainment. However, there is
I
a
get that.
section over here that does care about the missing and lives taken of people and want to put awareness out, want to help in any way that they can. And I am personally, it infuriates me that it even slipped in with the adding the drama into it, or adding not even that, but just the blatant disrespect of the case. And
Mhm.
it's unfortunate that it became a place where people came to watch for enjoyment, and it shouldn't be entertaining. But people have turned it into that, and the viewers continue to enjoy it, to watch it. They want to see the crap show happen, and they get a laugh out of it.
Mhm.
But I think personally that's so disrespectful to the child. Just it's sad. It's very, very sad.
It is, and I'm seeing, just based on the conversation in chat, others agree too. I think maybe there's at least a small portion of us that are all completely. I feel like this is gonna get misconstrued, but when I say over it, I don't mean summer, not by any stretch of the imagination. I don't. I see it, babe. I don't mean summer. Just over the whole madness is what I'm saying when I say there's a small portion of us that are over it, not
Yeah.
over her.
Right. No. Yep. Yeah. That's clear. And if anyone twists that, they're just trying to feed into it. But I've been over it. That's why I don't cover it on my channel. Only if law enforcement comes out with an update will I cover it in a stream. I mention it, I show it, we discuss it, I move on to the next case that needs attention brought to it, because I'm not going to feed
Mhm.
into it, and I don't even have I don't go looking and watching. It is only because of some of you that I follow and spend time with, and that I learn of what's going on. I'm disgusted by it, and I'm not even going to go over and give those people a click, because I don't want to be any part of it. Hi, Tracy.
Hey, how are you?
Hey,
Good. How are you?
Tracy. Good.
That's a good topic,
You
Deets.
got some thoughts?
You know I
I
do.
just I felt like, if I don't get this out, I'm probably gonna burst on someone's panel, and I'd rather it just be my own. But
I think a
just
lot of
seeing it
us feel
all,
like
it's
that. Yeah,
frustrating.
you're right. I think so many people just feel like watching what's gone on, it's easy to say, well, Don and Candace went up there and they were probably drunk or they could have been whatever. And then that's content,
Right.
more content and more content and more content. But if you don't bring them on, there are plenty of creators who've talked to the Wells offline and, had conversations with them. They didn't have to. What
Right.
is the point of bringing it? What is the point of having them online arguing about Kathy or anything? What is the point of
Right.
any of that? People are tuning in only to hear if it's going to be a shit show. They want to see if one of them is going to say something outrageous. I don't,
How many
if,
times they're gonna say the N word? Yep.
of course, yeah. If they're really there listening for some slip up about summer, do they have a notepad? Are they recording it? Are they really listening?
Absolutely.
I don't think so. The majority anyway. And when
Mhm.
we say, well, we can't blame the community, absolutely. You can only blame the community 99% of this because, for example, me, if I brought Dawn on and there was one person in my chat because they were over it, then I'm not going to keep doing it because there's nobody there cheering me on saying that this is the right thing to do. If people were like, you know what you're
Mhm.
doing's exploiting them and you suck for this, and they stopped watching, then there is no community, right? There's nobody there. But if my chat has 700 people, you start getting used to that and you want it. So it's like a drug. You want that attention. And soon you start to forget and you think it's about you.
Mm-hmm. So I said, as long as anybody,
Yeah.
it's turned inward, there is the problem in the line, and you need to turn it back to summer. And
Mm-hmm.
also a lot comes with just the integrity, people's own morals and integrity of covering these cases. And
Yeah.
if you get to a point that you just can't bear to see that chat have nobody comes because I'm only talking, well, that's the way it should be. You're putting the information out correct, truth, fact based, period. And if you care about the clicks and the views, it's
Mm-hmm.
unfortunate because at that point you no longer have the focus on the missing.
Yep. That's exactly what happened to me. And it was a
You
hard
took a big
reality to
break, didn't
face.
you?
I had to, yeah,
You
because I was getting 1,000 people in my chat, and I'm just sitting on my back porch with a whiteboard talking about Summer's case, right? And I'm thinking I'm doing
Right.
something, right? But it became more about how many people are in the chat, how many
I
people are watching this. There's only 400 people.
Hmm.
That's weird. You start being not yourself. You're. I
Hmm.
felt like people in the beginning, they really did care, so the lives that I was doing myself, I can only refer to myself, they were worth something. They made sense, and I felt like I was really doing something. But after things were fading and there was nothing at all coming out, and I was still doing those lives, I
Right.
started feeling like, you're not doing this for her, because
that
there's nothing new. You're rehashing stuff, and you are looking at other people who are rehashing stuff, and you're thinking you're better than them because you really care about Summer, but you're
Hmm.
doing the same thing. And
it
I
was your
started feeling sick, like, oh, I am doing the same thing.
That's what
I
I
think
said
that's what
earlier.
Deets
Oh, sorry.
has.
Go ahead, babe.
I was going to
Yeah.
say, yeah, it's your moral compass, and you listen to yours, and I think Deets is having that happen right now in this very moment. And
Hmm.
I remember the day that you told people, do not get a membership or even sub to me if you're following me just for Summer.
Hmm.
No, if you like me or my content or my personality, great. But if it's for Summer, don't do it. And I just had so much respect for you, for
Thanks.
doing what you did, and taking a step back and listening and reevaluating and then moving forward. I have a lot of respect for that. And same with Deets right
Hmm.
now.
It was a hard
Well, when
reality. I lost tons of members
oh yeah,
and tons of subscribers. It was like a punch in the gut. Like, whoa, you really thought you were out here being somebody, huh? And
yeah.
another part of it is people, they come on here, they're earning revenue, and you see that money coming in. Let's not pretend that there aren't channels who were making a ton of money during all of this. And it's always like that with a big case. The Idaho 4, some of these chat rooms have thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people.
Hmm.
But I had to really say to myself, is that worth this? Is it worth this? And that you're changing, or something is personally fucked up when
Hmm.
you're like, hmm, if you for myself, I was like, no,
When you
are you
don't
gonna
feel
be like
good
that?
about
Ugh.
it, when you
Yeah.
don't feel good about it anymore, and you feel icky about
Yeah.
it, is I think when it was just a moment for me. When, of course, we created this channel clipping and covering creators specifically in Summer's case. And
Yeah.
then that shifted because we started to just feel like we were just, contributing to the rhetoric, but we continued but also focused on several other things, but always watching. And someone shared out earlier like that they can't help but watch it. And I get you, girl. I get you
Mm,
110%. I I understand trying to hang on every single word that they have to say in hopes that they're gonna say something, but we're on the
yeah.
2-year mark and listening to what they have to say, it's the exact same thing over and over, just
Hmm.
different window dressing. That's all it is, different
Yeah.
window
And you
dressing.
want to scream. This is about a little girl. Uh,
Mhm.
what was it? Oh, it was the judge. It was the judge in Leticia's case. He said something the other day that hit and stuck. He said, "This is not TV. This is
Yes,
about an
I
11-year-old
love
year old
that.
boy, and
Mhm.
this is about a woman
These are
who's
not
facing
actors.
life.
Yep.
These aren't actors." And I was like,
And we've
"Eh,
forgotten that on YouTube, haven't we? 'Cause
yeah,
it does feel like these aren't real people who have really lost their daughter, and some creators truly believe that and have taken it too far, but
yeah, yeah,"
it has
because
turned into a horrible reality TV show.
we are seeing, and I've said this forever, We didn't know Dawn and Candace or Brandy Neal or the Idaho 4, Brian Koberger, any of the, we don't know them. We are
Mm-mm.
seeing these people all in their worst moments. And whether we like the word or not, we're exploiting them during their worst time because
Yeah.
we're true crime on YouTube. I understand. But
Hmm.
the real true crime on YouTube, they don't do that. You
No.
know, like they'll upload a video and they may upload a video about the specific topic, right? But it's done differently. So you don't see it in the same way as a chat full of 1,000 people calling Dawn a pedo or saying that Candace is unfit or, you know, we know that they and or their kids can watch this and they do. Seeing all of
Yeah.
this, we're taking their worst time, even if they're not good people, even if they're
Right.
not. You know, Quentin Simon's mother, not a good
Hmm.
person, bad
Nope.
person.
Not at all.
But we took her time. You know, people went there, they went live, and the chats were full. You know, when you're typing so fast, you're yelling at these
Hmm.
people and you're telling them how much you hate them, but you don't even know them. You don't know
Because
them. It's
because
awful.
it became a show. It became a reality TV series that you wanted to tune into every live to
Mhm.
witness and see what was gonna happen on the next episode.
Exactly.
But when we engage with empathy, and I love that whole movement, I
Yeah.
truly, truly love it. You put real people back behind it, and these aren't actors like that judge said. This is not a show. These are
Right.
real people, and this is their real lives and the
Yeah.
things that they're going through.
Are real. These
Yeah.
emotions are real. Dawn having that fit, that was real.
Mhm.
I don't think it was acting.
Not for 1 second.
No, I think that's real. You know, he was yelling about, you know, the people on his property and Molly climbing up his hill and cops who aren't listening and judges who ignore them. And, you know, do I think that everything he said was accurate or correct? No. But I probably would have snapped 6 months into it and said,
Right.
you know, every terrible thing that I could think of to say to the YouTubers who've repeatedly used my daughter for content. People are
100%.
going back to the beginning, back to the beginning, back to the beginning. There was only one beginning. You can only go back to the beginning so many times. You don't have the timeline. They have not released that. You can't put it together because you don't know what it is. But you're
And
using it on your show night after night after night after night after night. You're
and we're
doing it for
trying
views.
to we're trying to verify and qualify facts all based off of lies because they
Yeah.
all lie. They've lied over and over and over again.
Hmm.
We're not going to figure it out. None of us, YouTube sleuths, armchair detectives, whatever, they're not going to figure it out because everybody is lying. We've learned it over the past 2 years.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's just exhausting. And I think watching Dawn come unglued the other night on that panel is just a revelation of this entire cycle has started completely over again, and especially, like you said, when you look at the channels that are just going back to the beginning and
Mm,
repeating the same lies, repeating the same misinformation, exploiting the same people, it's
mhm.
just started all over.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
That's
happy with that math equation. They saw that it
Mhm.
brought clicks, views, and financial gain, and they said, perfect, I'm doing that right there. We'll just repeat, wash
Mhm.
and repeat again, again. And those that go, and it's even new people that are subbing, they haven't heard about the case. And they're like, wait, what's
Yep.
going on? And I mean, it's so bad for this case and all the cases that they do it on.
And it's sad to watch it because you know you haven't seen some of these names. And when somebody says, for example, yeah, Dawn are his sisters as well as in addition to the
Right.
little girl who's missing, people believe that because they don't know, because they haven't been here. So they haven't heard all of this, right?
Right.
Or when you go after the people in the church and say XYZ, they don't know. So now they're harassing people. Or, the Dudley, because he was just arrested. So now you're putting that info out. But people who weren't here 2 years ago don't know that Dudley's had interviews with people or the story behind him.
Right.
So,
Multiples.
it's so much.
Or you
And
see
it's so
them,
frustrating.
they bring up that Candace, she has another daughter. Did you know she has a daughter named Candace? Oh my gosh. Can you? And it's like, what? This is all, it's not new. This is not new information. It just got found out. If you were here in the very beginning, you kept up with it all. All of this came out, and it really is just a rinse and repeat that's happening. And I see, like, I don't know what we do to, it really comes down to a lot of the viewers, really. If they stop coming, those
Yep.
people will not get the financial gain, clicks, and views, and they will
Mhm.
stop. So, I
Yep.
mean, it is, the power really is in the control and in the hands of the viewers.
100%. But I think I was having that conversation with some ladies. And for me personally, it's the community.
Yeah.
Hands down. It's your fault.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Mhm.
sorry that it is. And I'm part of that.
It's
I don't have
pointing
to
a
tune
finger
in.
at ourselves for sure.
Yeah. If you see that the title says Dawn's really angry and has something to say, you might click in there and see 5 minutes. Maybe he's just ranting and raving. Okay. Are you going to stand there, encourage it, yell at him? You're yelling at somebody who's never going to see what you're saying. You're in a chat, but you're pushing that through the algorithm so fast now because so many people are typing. So that's going up, 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 up. More people are coming in. More people are going to see it. Everybody wants to see somebody rage, right? So people who've never even heard about this shit are coming into chat rooms like, well, what the hell's going on in here? What is this? And before you know it, there's a whole new group of people exploiting, looking, digging into stuff we already know, that we've already seen. And another conversation I was just having was just that they're not letting anything out. The police are holding this close. And is that good or bad? Well,
I
I
think
think
good.
yeah, because of what people have done on here,
Yeah.
You can
because
see,
of us. It's
yes,
our
because
fault.
we can't be responsible. We don't have the integrity
Yeah.
to allow cases to be handled by law enforcement, by those that are trained professionals to do what they're doing and get to the like, no faith in Idaho 4, right? That police department, oh, they're messing around. And then what do you know? They had a
They
whole
knew.
lot figured out. Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so just trust and let those that are trained to do what they do, let them do it and stop interfering. Stop
Right.
it. It is
Yep.
interfering with the case by calling them and giving crazy tips about, I was on YouTube and I heard that
Oh.
this person, it was a median or something, and they said that they saw this
Right.
over
Mhm.
here. And they have to go and look at every single tip. So you are taking time away from maybe a legitimate tip being
Mhm.
checked out, and
Oh,
it's infuriating.
and you want to be
Yep.
like the judge in Letitia's case and just be like, stop, stop
Yes,
Stop.
it.
Stop it,
When
both
he
of you.
stop
yes,
it, both of you. And I get that burden because Jenny was back there and then she dropped. She didn't say anything, dropped off. But you can pop back up, love. I'm sorry. I had to take my dog out, so I didn't see how long she was back there. But
Yeah.
anyway,
It's
I
so frustrating. Oof,
when I
Lord.
read through Oakley Snow's
Mm.
probable cause affidavit, I was on the same trail of thought that they weren't doing anything in her case
Right.
because we weren't seeing them do anything in their case. And I
Mhm.
wondered, when are they going to do something for this baby? And then you read through that and you
Mhm.
realize just how much they were doing behind the scenes. They
Absolutely.
were putting in the work over and over and over, and we
Mhm.
didn't see any of it.
the
And I'm
public
hopeful. Yeah.
the public
We.
gets a sliver of info, and it's only if they
Mhm.
feel, they use the public and they use the media when they need help on a certain angle of something they're doing. But it
Yep.
is, they are not required to or obligated to give the public any information at all. And so when
And
people
Dawn
get
and
mad,
Candace owe us nothing.
exactly right.
No.
Yes.
Zero.
Are you
When,
there,
I,
Jenny?
it's too much for us to act responsibly because in the beginning,
Okay.
the TBI and Hawkins County were having to come out too. And
Yep.
they've made statements, social media,
Yes.
please don't call anything else from social media. The
Right.
tips were just piling and piling and piling. They were sending in pictures of blurry people on the road with a bag or whatever,
Uh-huh.
saying that it was the parents dumping a body. Like, who's got time for this? And we know ourselves. There are some creators on here who are not stable in the mind.
Mm-hmm.
No.
So their subscribers who are buying what they're saying also, too, may not be stable in the mind.
Right.
They can't trust us with anything
Nope.
in Summer's case. And I'm glad that they don't
I
because
am
we've seen what
so
they've
glad
done.
they don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Since day one, since Facebook days, since psychics entered into the picture 2 days in, they couldn't give us, nor should they give us. And I think the thing that everyone forgets, myself included, we're not entitled to it.
Nope.
Nope.
They don't owe it to us, not the law enforcement on any of the agencies, and not the family. We're not
Right.
entitled to it. And
Nope.
I
I
don't
don't know
agree.
why I thought I was, but
I don't agree with the creators that say we need to push. Come on, everybody, let's go. Call, hurry up, call the police. They need to put out a press conference right now. It's long overdue, and tell us what's going on. Chill, sit down. Who does everyone think they are to demand that law enforcement give information that we aren't entitled to any of it? Let them do their job. You are taking up their time by
Yeah.
calling and calling and calling and demanding and demanding. Do you care about the case, the person at the center of the case? Then don't
Right.
do that. Don't.
Our
It's not
job
helping.
as true crime YouTubers is to use the resources we have available. And,
right.
if a cousin or an auntie or something wants to speak, you also have to have a disclaimer. This person could have a problem with the parents. So
Mhm.
understand that. And we just want because, we're YouTubers and we're on here. So we're pushing to get it out. But then
Right.
that leads to misinformation and mistakes and problems that once it's out of your mouth, it's hard to take it back.
Mhm.
Especially
You,
online.
yeah, it's forever. Somebody
Yeah.
clipped it somewhere.
Yep.
So,
No, nobody here is telling you what to watch, Miss Peacock. I am specifically not naming any channel on purpose. I would never tell someone what to watch or where to go. That's just not who I am. If you, like I've said, if you want to continue watching those things, absolutely. What I'm doing here is posing a question of, have we been harmful? And if we have, how can we be helpful? And what can we do to get there? That's what I'm trying to do tonight.
yeah. And, no, Deets especially would never say, don't watch this
No.
person. And I mean, I wouldn't either. Uh,
Mm-mm.
I'm not saying don't go watch so and so exploit this family. If you're into that kind of thing, great. Some people like to, do private romantic things dressed in rubber. Wonderful. If you like it, I love it. If you're
Right.
down
This summer
with
into
them
diapers.
putting the parents online as they're peeing,
Mhm.
great. Go watch it.
Yeah, if you wanna watch it, but I just feel like it's gotten to the point where I wanna say something about it. I do, and that's what, I'm doing tonight. Like, you can watch whatever you wanna watch, I can watch whatever I wanna watch, but I'm I'm heartbroken more than anything that we have come full circle, and at the 2-year mark of her disappearance, we've
It's
just
bad as
continued
ever.
it on and on. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's horrible. It's horrible.
Hey, Jenny.
Hey, love.
Hey,
Hello.
Jenny.
Hi. How is everybody?
Good. How are
Good.
you?
How are you?
Good. I just wanted to kind of reiterate what Tracy was saying as far as the community in quotes, right? Um, because we watch people go from chat to chat with misinformation and this person's saying this over here about you. Um, and they can't fact check of somebody on alive. It's difficult to try to fact check while you're alive.
Mhm.
Um, that is a constant thing. There's that,
Yeah.
and then there are some creators who do not fact check anything. They put out the first thing they find, like they go look for something, and the cognitive bias, right? To, oh, here's what I want. It backs up what I think, and they don't look any farther. And they put out awful, terrible information about innocent people
Yeah.
constantly.
I
How do
watched.
we stop that?
Yeah.
Like I would love to, but how do we? I mean, that's the conversation, right?
Right, and that was, kind of what our channel was born off of is, not necessarily calling them out, but kinda holding up a mirror and saying, "Look, this is where you're wrong. This is what you're doing. What do you think about it?" Trying to be as polite as possible in doing so, but it's, taken on a new form, new life, and that's fine too.
Well,
I
like going off what Jenny just said too, was that people come from chat to chat with misinformation and it spreads.
Mhm.
And one example, I was covering JJ in Florida, and someone came in and started talking and basically blaming the parents of JJ. And it
Yeah.
was information I knew where they got it from a live the night before, that I knew was not fact or truth. And I said, we're not going to accuse people we don't know, and none of what you're saying is fact or truth. They got angry. They said that I have a cult mentality, like my chat, that we're in a cult mentality, and they took off. And then I had 5 or 6 different named people come in and troll me and tell me you're only here for money, and I'm like, I'm actually purposely not monetized, don't say that.
Mhm.
And then they just kept going and said, you're not helping, you're sitting on your ass, you aren't even out there looking for this child, and you're
That
exploiting. And they just went on me. I mean, and it really did it. I muted and I did cry. And then they came out that JJ had been found right in that moment.
mm.
And I sobbed even harder because
Oh.
I have seen so many of these not go well. And I
Mhm.
was just so happy, like unbelievable. But yes, some will just keep stepping, and then there's some that will troll you and your chat if you try to put a stop to it. But I'm not going to allow. And so I think it is important, if you see somebody running with misinformation, that we try to put a stop to it, or at least let the rest of chat know that that just got said hasn't been known as a fact yet. So take it with a grain of salt. And that way it isn't, you have all the people in your chat go to someone else's and spread it. It just multiplies. And
Well,
so
and that happens frequently is, I use this analogy way too often, but it's, a drop in the water and it creates that ripple that spreads out to everyone. And like
mhm.
Jenny was saying, and this is my question as well, what do we do when we see I watched a creator go through an innocent man's Facebook for 3 days in a row trying to connect him to this case without coming out and saying, "I'm connecting him to this case," but that's exactly what you're doing, is trying to make someone a prime suspect when you have no clue at all, and the lies and the
Mhm.
misinformation spread therein,
It's so
it's creating more victims, and what can we do about that?
Well, I know that I'm going live about exactly what you're talking about to correct that misinformation, and
That's
people can take it
good.
or leave it, but it's beyond ridiculous. An absolutely innocent person, like by all means, it just lies and lies and lies about the person trying to claim that they're a child predator, and there's nothing that points to that, but they've concocted things to make it look that way. And then they go, "Oh, I'm not accusing them of anything."
Mhm.
It's
And
just not
and
okay.
and even if they're not, right? Even if they're not accusing them, the stuff and the context and the conversation, people pick up on what's
the
happening, and then it
insinuation.
gets spread. Yeah, the insinuation, it gets spread, right? And, like, it went to Burton's chat. It gets spread so
Yeah,
easy.
I had someone come in on it was Brian actually with the Idaho 4, and someone came in and said the man's name is blah, blah, blah. And I happened to be up there with another creator, and I'm like, I don't know if that's true. And so we were behind the scenes at the same time looking up the name and trying to get fact on that. But that person was running around, and it's the name that they gave. I'm not going to say any creator's name, but they gave it to other creators who then blasted all his information. The wrong person. It wasn't even the right person. And they just put them all out there. And so, yeah, that's the thing about they go from one place to another, and then it spirals and collects more people to have misinformation, and they go to the next chat with that. So
It's not fair. Like I've cried about it, and I know probably other people have too, because of what they're doing to this person.
mhm.
It's not fair.
There shouldn't be
It's and
more
it and
victims
it's
getting
and it
added.
certainly yeah, and it certainly doesn't help the victims. That doesn't help Summer in any way to take someone that was somewhere around her case and make false accusations about them. It doesn't. Like
Nope.
how? How do
Right.
you think you're doing the right thing?
Right. And in what way is this finding Summer? In what way is this putting out factual information to do with her and her case? It's not. It's not. It's exploiting people, and they are innocent, completely innocent, have nothing to do with anything. Like, shame on people for having any relationship, because it makes me think, what if something happened in my family, with a different family member? And next thing I know, there's people online throwing up all my information, doxing me, and saying she's involved. She did it. Next thing you know, I'm the person that's responsible for taking their life. It goes too far off of no fact at all. And you just create victims. They're already grieving somebody being missing or deceased. And then you're putting so much trauma on these people surrounding these cases, and I think that it's
Yeah.
completely irresponsible.
I agree, and especially when you're just making very loose connections, but you're just very driven in what you're saying, it comes across really horrible and it's hurting those people. And I also agree with what Brittany J is saying here. And I want to draw attention to this for just 1 second. And Brittany, hey love, I'm so glad you're here. Says, I was really interested in Summer's case, but then all of the crazy happened. People going into the Welsh church and filming kids, and people fighting over who gets to talk to Dawn, and I just can't. So here is a channel with quite a few subs, a great community that she has going over there, who, tries to spread awareness and talk about cases and stuff. And she doesn't want to because of the crap show that is happening in Summer's case. And that's another fear I have, is when good creators stop talking about her and stop spreading awareness because they don't want to be drugged into the drama.
Right. And that is, I won't cover anything on her unless it has to do with the law enforcement, or the media that has been covering her all along with something that's actually new, which isn't much. And that's it. And then we have a short discussion. Normally, it does come up about how it's being mishandled by creators, and then we move to the next thing. But other than that, no, I don't, with all the cases. And I sort of have a bad habit too with covering a case, and then once it gets big and everybody jumps on it, I
Mhm.
back
Yeah.
off. I'm off
Yeah.
it. My hands are. I'm done. I'm out. And I know I should still cover it so that I know factual information is being put out, and there is a place people can come to know just what's true. But I struggle with it because I get very angry watching what people do with these cases, how
Yeah.
they run with it.
Mhm.
I mean, we completely stopped. I don't know if anybody noticed or not, or maybe a
Yeah.
couple of people did, but we don't cover it at all anymore. We don't cover anything anymore. And it's because of this is so horrible. So horrible. And s- creators with a larger following will gang up on smaller creators, lie, say things are absolutely completely untrue. And that has nothing to do with Summer in her case.
Mm. No.
So what do you? It's like you got you and chasing both these were say it made you feel icky. That's exactly how it feels. Like I'm an adult professional with a job. I don't. I'm not in high school,
Right.
and that's what this feels like. So what do you do? Because if you continue to do what you care about, what you love, and you go live and you talk about topics like summer or court cases or whatever we want to talk about, and then but you have to deal with all this extracurricular garbage, like people threatening to call the police or sue you or call CPS or they tell lies about you so that people think that you're somebody that you're not, right? Why do I want to deal with that? Right? At what point, where do you balance how
Mm.
much harm this is doing to you and your life and your family and whatever else against like, not even knowing if you're really helping
Mhm.
Right. What good?
online?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get
Then you
that.
end
I
up with all the people who care going away or tamping it down or doing less or moving on to something different.
hmm And that's another fear, like bringing up, creators like Brittany not wanting to cover it because they don't want to be involved in the drama. If everybody starts to fizzle out because they've experienced that burnout from the chaos surrounding the online reality TV version of her case. Because let's not uh let's make a distinction there that this here on YouTube is not her case, right?
No way.
Law enforcement and all of that, everything that's happening, that's her case. But this distraction over here is what I'm talking about. And then you have so many people fizzle out and not want to cover it because of that online chaos. What happens? Does the
All
awareness completely dwindle away?
all that's left at that point are those channels that are handling it inappropriately and
Mm-hmm.
completely exploiting her false all the lies and gossip and digging into going real life on everybody involved in the case. And yeah, you're right. If we all back off because we don't want to be a part of it and we're not going to engage in that, we are left with
Mhm.
only that. And then anybody new that comes to YouTube, they find it and they think that is summer. That's
Yep.
what summer
Mhm.
is, and it's not.
Yeah, the same people who were flooding in my chat while I was covering. And I'm thinking, because of their comments, I'm so glad that you're just putting out the facts and the information and blah, blah, blah. Then I stop, right? And a couple other people stopped right around the same time. And
Mhm.
then you go into these other areas where it's full on just talking crazy about people, speculation, uh, just awful things. And it's the same people. And you're like, what? How? And you feel
Mhm.
bad then. You're feeling bad, like, oh, God, you know, are people, are they buying this? Are they believing these things? But
I
you
think
can't
they
make
are.
people not. So you just give up. You're just like, well, I can't be out here. And then you feel like a jerk because you want to correct something that's misinformation. And
Right.
not because you're a know it all, but if there's something that is so wrong, we should, as adults, all be able to take that criticism and say, you know what, Jenny, I'm sorry, but what you said was completely inaccurate. And
Mhm.
here's
Hmm.
what it is. Now, if you have the opportunity to contact them behind the scenes, that's probably better. But most of these people, if you do it behind the scenes, they're just going to bring out the screenshots and say, can you imagine
Hmm.
if this mother effer did this to me and is saying that I don't know what I'm talking about? And it's like high school, you're right. So what do
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
do? What do you
I
do?
I wanna, jump in here real quick and address this. It says, "So many other cases moving through the courts, and this baby's case is going cold as her parents refuse to cooperate. No excuses." I just
That is
read
so
off
true.
I just read off where they said her case is not cold. It's
And we'll,
not growing cold. Even if her parents never speak to law enforcement another day, doesn't mean that they're not going to be active on her case. When they tell us it's a cold case, then it's a cold case.
and how do we know what anybody's doing? I know information. I could say it right now
Mhm.
that two other people who are up here also know.
Meh.
Could say it. I could, right? I could say it's on the tip of my tongue, but I'm not
Yeah, I know.
going to, right?
Right.
Right.
But I know for a fact that what was just said is not true.
It's
For a
not.
Right.
fact, 100% fact. So, what do you do with that information? Do you come out and use what you know and correct everybody? No,
No.
But see,
because then
it,
I'm also breaking a confidence.
Mhm.
If I know something because somebody told me something and they didn't tell it to YouTube, and I'm not even talking about the parents specifically, but what do? Do you say,
right.
you can just say, no, you're wrong. They actually are talking to the police. How do you know?
Right.
Well, because I know. How do you
And
know?
then you gotta prove it, and then
Oh,
it
because
just
I know.
becomes a whole thing. Right.
It does.
It's
It does.
just, it's
And,
infuriating.
and we got like stuck in a thing with the neighbor. Y'all know that. Um, because of the misinformation there. And really simply just said she told the story first and then now she's telling this, right?
Hmm.
And it turned into this cycle.
Yeah.
And so at this point, the claim is that we targeted and tormented her child.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's just, do you know what I'm saying? Like, we
Yeah.
didn't do anything to her
Yeah.
except correct misinformation.
Yeah.
And we
Before I
stopped
even
doing
really
that.
knew you and became cool with you, I was also said that I did that to that
Yeah.
lady. And I at that point in time, I was baffled. So I knew what she was saying about you guys couldn't be true because what she was saying about me wasn't true. So I'm like, well, this is
Yeah.
weird.
Well, people don't know. And then when she, or other, it's not just her, but people go on their live and they say, what they did this, and here's the receipt, and here's a blurry phone, and do you know what I'm saying? And there's no receipts.
Mhm.
There is no proof. There is nothing there.
No.
And I saw that person go up on a channel that calls themselves Summer's Channel the other night and fight, scream, and yell at the father of a missing child
Yep.
for no known reason. They could have had that conversation privately.
Yep.
Because
They know how to contact each other. I don't understand
mhm.
that. But
Be
then she's a big hero because people don't like him.
No,
And
Right.
so now
absolutely not.
That was
no, that's what
well,
people were saying to
I
her, that
know,
she
I
was a
know. I'm
hero.
just putting it in there. Nope,
I do
nope,
No,
have a
no,
nope.
question though. I have
yes,
one
I agree.
question for that.
Mm.
Where was Summer mentioned in any of it?
Mm.
There
Was
Oh,
was
her name
an,
mentioned in that besides
yeah,
Stop Daddy Stop?
stop,
there
Was
daddy,
her
stop.
was,
name
Mm.
mentioned?
yes.
How?
There was an F word before her name once
Yeah.
and a MF another
Hmm.
time.
Great. Good. Well, I'm
Yeah,
glad at least
beautiful.
people are talking about her. So there's that.
Mhm. That's a hero right there.
It's vile and it's disgusting, and I don't care what anyone says. She absolutely 110% is a creator on YouTube and deserves to be called out for what she is doing to this case as well.
Boy,
Yeah, you stepped way past probably 22 months ago. So it is what it is.
yeah. Yeah, and like I said, it's not just that one. That one, it might be the loudest and the most prolific.
Mhm.
Mm.
But, it just you can't point out the inconsistencies in her story without a fight
Mm-mm.
and being accused of all manner of things that you had never done.
Tragedy Pimps Exposed says, unfortunately, there aren't many facts. Well, then you would think
Right?
that the only live streams would be about awareness. And they could be
Mhm.
in
Mm,
live streams about awareness for many children, the thousands of children who are missing across this country with equally tragic stories. You would
Hmm.
think, because there is no information, that somehow we could turn it into an awareness campaign. And
Wouldn't that be great?
it
Yeah.
would be wonderful, right? Because
Hmm.
everybody deserves the same level of attention. Summer's family is getting this attention because they're poor, because their house looks the way that it does, because they were willing to talk to YouTubers. Because I
Because
can
of the things
guarantee
they
you,
say.
if it was a well to do couple who wasn't coming on YouTube, people wouldn't dare. They wouldn't
Mm-mm.
dare. But there's somebody, back to my theory, broken record, you have to have somebody to hate, and they're easy.
They're very easy to hate.
Without a
And
villain, there's
yep,
no
Hmm.
show. There
every
just
case,
isn't.
that's you're right. You're exactly right. That's it. The first thing that they locate in the case isn't even the victim. It is
Nope.
the villain of the case. And
Hmm.
once
Hmm.
they've got that cross on them, they run with that. And you're right. Everybody
Absolutely.
latches and wants to know about this. Yeah.
Yep.
And in
You
so
have to
many
have a villain.
cases, yeah, in so many cases, they're created. These villains are
Yeah.
created, and
Hmm.
Oh
then
yeah.
they're exploited.
For sure.
And I wanted to say, I know in the beginning of the
God, my
live dates, you
hands.
wanted
You're
you wanted to make
staticky. I don't know if it's
me.
is it Jenny or me?
Is it me? I was at the deck. Dang.
Yeah,
You know, when I go
that's
towards
me.
my deck, it's like you have the chair in your
Yeah.
house. I have the deck. Dang it. Can you hear me okay now?
Stay a few more.
Can you?
I'm not
Is it
okay.
better? Better?
Yeah, there's just like a
Okay.
little background crackle, but it's not bad.
I'm so sorry. I just in the beginning of the live, you put up Summer's poster because it's important because we're talking about Summer,
Hmm.
and I think that is important. I personally, I've never used her name or her image anywhere,
Hmm.
and it's because I'm afraid I'll mess up. I'm afraid I will do or say something that is harmful or not uh, appropriate for her, and I have a really hard time doing that. But I appreciate that you're doing that. That other people do that. I just can't. I can't look at her photographs either.
I
Hmm.
appreciate that you said that too, though, because you are different. Then, if there's a reason why you don't, because you don't want to say something wrong or do something that you feel could hurt her case, is a is a reason, as opposed to all of those that are exploiting and running along with this and not putting her photo because they simply
Hmm.
don't care, and it's not even about her anyway to them.
Right. I don't have her name's not tagged in this. Her family's name's not tagged in it. I mean, obviously, I had to I put summer in there in the title just to what we're discussing about, but I felt like we're going to be talking about drama and those sorts of situations. I didn't want to attach it. So I get where you're coming from. But there
Yeah,
are
I
other
mean that's
times
kind of the
where,
thing.
yeah, I'll spread an awareness clip and I will tag her because I want people to see this
Absolutely,
information.
absolutely. No, I'm just saying me
Mhm.
personally because I'm just terrified of that, and I do. I have a you guys. Most of you guys probably don't know that, but I can't look at pictures of Summer because I can't focus. I can't do anything else. It's silly,
Mm,
but it's the truth. I can't.
yeah. It's hard to see her sweet little face, and it's hard to see the things being said and done in her name, in the name of Summer. Like you said earlier, there's a channel that claims to be her channel. All the things said and done in her name. How is it helping?
Never want to be part of that.
Mm. Well, thank you, Claire. And you're not actually talking dramas.
Right.
This is a real issue. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
this is
just
not drama.
like when I felt, just icky about it today, though, I just didn't wanna do it because I didn't wanna attach her name
Yeah.
to it, but then that's when I decided, "Okay, we're gonna start out straight talking about the factual information because we can get through that really quick. What'd it take me, 5 minutes? Because there's just not much there, unfortunately, but that's what we
Yeah.
can share that out because I know there are people in, because I cover so many communities, there might be someone in here who didn't know her story, who didn't know who to contact or why to contact them. So I want to
Yeah.
start with that.
I think it's nice
It's
because I'm sure there are some people, Deets, that follow you that don't know much about Summer's case. And I think that was a wonderful way to start this. Those are the
oh,
facts.
good.
That's it.
Yeah. And I'm just and I said it earlier, I'll say it again, and Kiko's right. It's all about Dawn and Candace and how they think they need to act and what they need to do, not their business. And in my mind, just in Deetz's mind, it has become the Dawn and Candace show, and it has become all about them and not about their daughter anymore. And they are helping perpetuate that. I can't make any bones about it or any excuses for them. They are helping that. But so are
Yeah.
these creators and so are these subs, and we all are. Everyone is.
Yep. Yep. I know every night we roll through everything to see, are they on this channel? Is one of them on this channel? Is this person's talking? We listen to everything, like everything about her. And it's infuriating most of the time, absolutely infuriating. But what if we miss something, right? That's how it feels. Like I don't want to miss anything. We look at all the possibilities. Chasing, we did. I was like, oh, that's a ridiculous theory. And Chasing was like, well, we have to check it out because it's summer. And that's absolutely right. And
Yeah. That's
Adrian's
how I
done that.
always feel.
Yeah, Adrian's done that millions of times, like little weird theories that she heard somewhere, and she's like, "It could be this, it could be that," and I'm like, but what about this?" And she's like, "No, we need to check it," and we do. It's really, I'm kind of really too dismissive, I think, about things sometimes.
It happens to all of us. I
Because
think
there's so
sometimes
much junk.
I
That's
do.
why,
Yeah, I
I mean,
dismiss things sometimes. Uh, I dismissed chasing the other day.
you dismissed me? Girl,
I
you're a
did.
lie.
I did. I said
Uh
goodbye.
oh.
You're a
Uh,
lie. What are you talking about? What'd you
oh,
dismiss?
I was trying to think. What was it that came up in the last rhetoric that you talked about just like 2 days
This
ago?
motherfucker said rhetoric.
Uh, I meant the YouTube rhetoric. Oh, the connection to her address and who was Sherpy and all that and who was supposed to get it. You and Michelle After Dark, who I enjoy watching her
Mhm.
commentary as well. I was both
about
like, why are you guys spending time on
Remind me
about
of
the
this?
that.
land.
Remind me of that. Remind me of that. Tell me one more time.
It was during Jody Sue and Dawn's argument on another creators panel where she said that Sherfy and what's his face was supposed to
Well,
Moth
that
was
was
supposed to
interesting. What are you
inherit.
talking about?
I'm just saying. I was like, no, I don't want to go down that path and look into it because I didn't find it important.
Yeah,
Oh,
Well,
that the land might be the motive. Is that
yeah,
yeah?
yeah.
yeah, and that's really interesting that you say that too. We talked a little bit deets about this the other night because it was the daughters of Sexton
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
that she said took care of Dawn's mother when she
Yeah.
Mhm.
was sick, not Dawn.
Right.
Um, I do have. I did talk to someone that was there at the time and knows the situation who said that is absolutely not true, and they believe that those people did not even live there
Well,
Mhm.
damn
at
it.
that time. But I got to check into it. But um,
You could have let me know that,
it's
Jenny. You know?
I shouldn't have said it, should I?
No.
I should not have said it. Yeah, sorry.
But what
It's
I'm
there.
saying, like I dismissed that whole thing, but it was obviously important enough for these two amazing creators, way
Oh,
better
yeah.
than I could hope of dreaming in the true crime community. It was important for them to look into, and of course they handled it tactfully. But I'm just saying, yeah, there are things that because we're so wrapped up in the drama or the drama is what gets more attention.
Yeah.
Little things like that that some might find important, others of us tend to blow off because all we heard was the screaming back and forth in that argument.
Yeah. I don't even know that a lot of people even paid attention to my video. Like, I doubt it.
Well, they should
It-
have.
Are you crazy? Of course we did.
No, I swear to you. I bet.
You're
She
you're the
right.
godmother of true crime.
Oh yeah, like godmother. Hold on, I'm gonna
The
tell you right now.
godmother.
I'm gonna tell
You're
you right now.
godmother.
Let me see. Oh, never mind. Okay, well, maybe they
See,
did.
they paid attention.
I
And they
guess.
should have. They should have.
Hmm.
I thought I mean, it was called Summer is Lost because she's lost in her own
Mhm.
case.
She
She's
is.
lost in her own case, and it's heartbreaking. But
Mhm.
I don't know what to do about it.
Well, that was my first and only comment for a long time about the blow up that Dawn had the other night. Was I'm crushed that Summer. This is what she lived in. This is not new. We
Nope.
know that from like 911 calls and other stories that they have told. This is not new, and her and her brothers had to live in that.
And
Mhm.
this is where we, Jenny and I'll debate kind of a
Yeah,
little bit because,
yeah,
you
and we
know,
should.
and I'm like, okay, so she lived like that. And
Yeah, I
like I
agree.
lived like that too.
A lot
And
of people
That
did.
right.
right.
It's still
And
it's
I'm
still
okay.
horrible. It's
It's
still
it's
horrible though.
yeah, but because I get, and that's how I look at it. Well, because I
Yeah.
didn't, and I still have complete faith and hope that Summer is somewhere. She's
Hmm.
somewhere, right?
Right.
And I
She is.
can't give that up. So I'm like, she's gonna be fine. She'll, her brothers are gonna be okay. I hope. I hope that they come across people like my Nana who made me stronger, or they come across great friends who will hold them up when they need them to, because they'll have memories where it does hurt them that all of this happened to them. But, yelling motherfucker isn't going to break somebody. It's not.
Mhm.
Seeing your
Well,
parents drunk and fighting is extremely painful. But you, as a child, kids are resilient as shit.
mhm.
They become strong. Inside they're broke and it's painful and it hurts, but we grow up and most of the time we're okay. And that's what I pray for her brothers, that they're going to find partners and teachers and friends and
They break
mentors.
those generational
Yeah.
Right.
curses that have been handed down, and I agree with you completely on keeping that hope, and like I said last night,
Mhm.
I tend to side with Chasing on, the way he spoke to the grandchild, and I know that's not gonna be received well because so many people are, feel the way that you do, Jenny, but, um
No, no, I
I
think you have.
I no, 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 I got you, and I didn't grow up that way, but I had a friend who did, where that, type of talk back and forth in the family was accepted and used,
Yeah.
and, she was completely normal, she was never hurt or harmed or abused or anything like that.
And it's
It's
completely
it's
not
just the
normal, but it is what
no,
it
no,
is.
it's not normal at all, but it was her normal,
Hmm.
and, she thankfully broke those generational curses, but just because, someone speaks that way doesn't necessarily mean that they harmed their child or
No,
something
no,
like
not at
that,
all.
yeah.
No, I don't want you to
Mhm.
misunderstand me. That's not what I meant. I'm sad that anybody has to
Yeah.
grow up in that.
Yeah.
That's my point. But to hear it like that, to hear him, and I'm not talking about the grandson either. I'm talking about
Mhm.
him screaming and yelling and cussing and the
Mhm.
anger. His face, like his face while that was going on, was insane.
And it
Oh,
was.
not towards the grandson, you're just talking about the screaming and
No,
yelling at the end because the grandson was gone by then.
no,
I
I wasn't talking about the
gotcha.
grandson at all. At
I
all. I
mean,
mean,
I've
I
we
I've
did.
seen my
gotcha.
sister in worse rages than that. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
And it's so, I hate even saying it
Mhm.
because you do say, I feel like I do sound like I am defending
Uh,
him. But
yeah.
when you grow up in absolute chaos,
Yeah.
and my mom, that was like a weekly fucking occurrence. She's raging out
Mhm.
because somebody lost the other sock. And I mean, it's a
But
rage like you've never seen, and you are called things that you've never heard. And then you get beat for it. You know what I mean?
right.
So to me, I'm like, Don, shut up and sit
Mhm.
down, boy, bye.
But chasing, I told you too that it's not right that you grew up that way. That makes me sad
No,
too. You are great. You turned out great. Some people don't. And
some
but some
don't.
people have wonderful upbringings and don't turn out great either. So there's that. It's
Sure.
not that. It's just that any
It's hard to
child
hear. Yeah.
has to be in that environment where they can't just be a child and enjoy that
Yeah. And they can't get
without
away
all the
from it.
muck. Yeah,
Yeah.
they,
You can't get
I
away. It's
I
horrible.
saw a completely broken man. I don't know where Don and Candace's guilt may lie. I don't, and I'm not going to speculate on it because I have no clue.
right.
I have faith that law enforcement is continuing to, do their due diligence, do their research, and they will figure if they are guilty, they will come to that conclusion. But what I saw on that panel, or what I heard, was a completely broken man,
Yeah.
who was lashing out at anything and everything that moved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
That's
can't
rough, huh?
imagine what it takes to get to that space. I don't know if he was like that before or not. I have no clue, but
I mean, I
it
probably
was
would have been
hard.
like that 6 months in, just
Mhm.
lost. And he probably has, the nights that
Mhm.
we're not seeing them on YouTube where we know the police have gone up there or
Mhm.
whatever, he's probably like a tornado going through that house because there's nothing there. And much of it, the boys, we can say, well, it's their own fault. Sure. But also,
Mhm.
we've added to it, whether we like it or
Mhm.
not. They're responsible for their actions 1,000,000%. But
Yep.
if we're going to say that the YouTubers and social media had nothing to do with driving these people fucking batshit, we're liars and we're hypocrites because that's not true. There have been some great ones who befriended them and tried to help as much as they could. But these are people who were broken well before Summer went missing.
Right.
Well before.
Right.
This only added onto it.
Mhm. And Mrs. Peacock, I'm not excusing
I
that
was just gonna say
brokenness,
that.
and I'm
Right.
not saying that it absolutely doesn't mean that I don't care about the kids they failed. I 110% do. It's
Is
two separate issues being discussed, though.
See, I
right, and
don't
isn't
care.
there a way that people can have,
Have both.
care for both?
Yep.
Like, why does it have to only be one way? It
Right.
doesn't change the fact, like, maybe it all led here, and you've gotta realize that you can't just look at the final outcome
Mhm.
per se, right? When something led to that. So what was that? And if you go back, you look at how Don and Candace are now. Something led to that. It was a
Mm-hmm.
reaction, and it is important to try to understand it. But I don't see why we can't have any kind of compassion or empathy towards whatever Don or Candace have experienced in their life. That
Mm-hmm.
without also still caring about Summer. um,
Right.
I don't know why it has to be one or the other. I think it should be able to
Yep.
be everywhere on all of them for their individual reason, but it's not excusing or accepting what
Mm-mm.
has
No.
happened and saying, well, that makes it fine. Don broken, therefore it's good. It's good. No, we're not agreeing
No.
with it or approving of it at all. We're just
Mhm.
acknowledging it. We are recognizing it for what it is, and it doesn't mean it wasn't hard for him through his life. I just think we should be able to care about everyone across the board. It shouldn't have to be only one.
It
Or
doesn't.
because you care about him, you don't care about Summer. That's crazy.
That's what the whole engaging with empathy movement is about,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it doesn't have to be one or the other. It
Sure
absolutely
doesn't.
can be both. It can encompass it all.
Mm-hmm.
And that also doesn't mean that you have to think they're not guilty. If you saw a broken man, that doesn't mean you're saying, he's an innocent person.
Exactly.
Right.
It's just stating
I,
a fact of what you saw.
I
I mean, I can
definitely
look
think
at
he
them and they're
is.
broke. They're just
Yeah.
broke,
Mhm.
you
Well,
know?
that's what we thought. That's what we came back and said when we met him. He is a broken man.
Yeah. I mean, God,
And
that was
and
Oh,
brutal. That was terrible. That
yeah,
was bad.
Nobody's asking you to feel sorry for him. I'm not asking you to feel sorry for him at all, and I don't believe any of these women up here are asking you to feel sorry
No,
either. No, don't.
absolutely not.
Don't.
Yeah,
What?
and that's another thing because we're having a conversation or expressing how
Mhm.
we feel. I don't care. Not Miss Peacock, but in general, I don't
Mhm.
care. You know, Jenny's my friend and I respect her opinion, but it's not going to make me change mine.
Yep.
And it
You know what
shouldn't.
I mean?
Mhm.
I feel how I feel because I've been around 60-year-old broken people. And I
Yeah.
know there was a fuck of a lot that led up to them being as broken as they are. My own parents being the main culprits. They were broke. Their
Yep.
lives broke them.
Yep.
So if my mother, God forbid, lost one of her kids, that woman was so broke from childhood on. There's no way. There's no way she would have been able to deal with it. She would have been
No.
more into drugs, more into drinking, more into raging, just a crazy person. She would have been a crazy person. And I can't imagine seeing her go through what they've been put through on social media, but that they've subjected themselves to on social media. They trust, or for whatever reason, keep coming back and allowing these people to do this to them. So, in
Mhm.
that aspect,
Yeah.
I don't feel bad for them at
Nope.
all.
Like I said, they're engaging. They are
They are.
110% creating the havoc as well. I'm not
Absolutely.
saying not. They're adding to it, they're multiplying it, and they're causing harm as well. I make no bones about it. I'm not saying anything different than that.
And that's true. It's true. They
Yeah.
are, I don't know what they think we can do. Um,
Mhm.
the ones who have kept it extremely quiet for them, it doesn't make a difference whether we come out and say everything or say nothing because
Yep.
they're still going to be talked about by the people that they engage with, and fights are going to happen on their panels and summer's lost in
Yeah.
it all.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
continue to go to those channels and those panels that, for whatever reason, they feel comfort in, but it's causing them absolute harm. I don't know how they don't see that. I don't, but
Right. And
I
I
can
mean,
still encompass sympathy.
I don't know if people know Dawn's childhood story, and I don't know if people know Candace's, but I know them.
Mhm.
And it's to put them into words, it's hard.
It
Um,
is.
a lot of us have had really traumatic lives, and the thing that I really noticed in the Gannon's trial, is that we don't know if Leticia has bipolar or whatever. We don't know what happened, right?
Correct.
But in watching the chat, I went through this and I didn't do this. I have that and I didn't do this. I had stepchildren and I didn't do this. My stepchildren were constipated and they didn't do this. And it's
Mhm.
like, we're not all each other. We're
Mm-hmm.
each individual, unique people who've gone through what we've gone through. Even though your experience is similar to mine, it isn't mine. And mine
You
isn't yours.
you can
Right?
even look at twins. There could be two twins that are raised in the exact same environment with their parents, with a abusive and all the things with their
Mm-hmm.
parents, and one child will turn to addiction or could turn to being violent or being anything negative, and the other one may turn towards religion and turn towards helping others, and they're the closest to the same kind of person as can be, and
Mhm.
had the same exact experience but go two different directions. So to compare others to you or to another person, it
Mhm.
really doesn't do any good, because people are their own individual self, and we
100%.
all all react differently, and it doesn't
Well,
make
and
it right or wrong on them, off of how they handle it. And it comes, I think, actually, like, fight, flight, or freeze, that kind of situation. How
mhm.
things happen to people and what their response is to the trauma, it differs from person to person. And so you can't determine that she has to be the same way
Well, and we're
because
all a sum of our experiences, and
Mhm.
everybody's experiences, even within the same household, can be completely different. I was
Yes.
telling this to someone
Yep.
the other day, you know, we witness these 2 families, Summer and Michael's families, and how they are expressing themselves online and how they're dealing with, this very traumatic experience that they went through less than a month apart, and how completely different it is. And then to relate to that, I use my own example of the traumatic experience our family went through. And my husband has a brother, and he went in a very similar self-destructive way like the wells are going. And then my husband went in a completely opposite way where, leaned on the community, leaned on family, leaned on his faith and others to get through that traumatic experience and to come out and, use it as a witness, as a testimony, as, all those things and to build our family up from that traumatic experience. And they were raised completely the same by the same individuals. So
Mhm.
you absolutely can have, 2 people within the same household go separate ways. And there's so many things that play into it because it's the sum of our life experiences that are who we are and how we handle situations.
And it brings in the nature versus nurture as well, because again, everybody's their own person, so you don't know how they will react to everything the same, but their reaction can be different. And it there's honestly, it goes down a whole medical route, mental health, and different chemicals that get released in how your body reacts to a situation. And then it starts to repeat because that's what your body knows and has gone to for safety. And that will continue throughout the life of the person. And it can be a completely different direction. So, yeah, it just doesn't, it's not a simple answer that I have XYZ and I didn't act that way.
Mhm.
It's just,
So, can I clarify something really quickly?
of course.
Yeah.
Um, I have no judgment about Dawn and Candace or anybody else and how they raise their children. I think it's sad that any child has to grow up that way. That is not a ding on the parents. That is, I think it's sad. I just want to make that clear because I was just uh, given a hard time about having a good
Oh.
childhood, and I think that's just as
Oh.
bad. So
Yeah,
Oh,
they
no, I
shouldn't.
I'm
understood
not
what you were
I'm not
saying.
ashamed
Yeah.
that I have parents who didn't do
You
that.
shouldn't be.
That's not fair for anyone to even do that. In my opinion, I think that you're blaming. It's a type of a victim blame, whether you go after somebody that had a rough childhood versus somebody that didn't at all, and to try to bring that person down or make a cruel statement to them of like, "Oh, I'm so sorry that you had such a blessed childhood." That is uncalled for. And it's the same with everybody wants to talk bad and bash on somebody that's obese or overweight, but then they think it's okay to talk badly about the skinny person and make fun of them. Oh, you're rail thin. Why don't you go eat a cookie? Why don't you have a cheeseburger? It's the same thing. It's the same
Mhm.
thing. And I think we should all just practice kindness. And if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. It doesn't all have to be said. The thought in your mind doesn't need to be put out there, especially when you're going to hurt people along the way. But that's just how it's what I try to do. But I just think that there's so much ugly and it's not necessary. So, Jenny, yeah, there's
I
nothing.
just meant
I'm sorry that that happened to you. Just,
I just meant that I'm sad. I don't know how
Right.
those words come off as thinking I'm better than somebody else or anything else. I just
it
think it's
doesn't.
sad that any child has to live that way.
Well,
Right.
and your idea of, having a great perfect childhood doesn't mean that somebody else might not look at your life and be like, "Oh, I mine was better than that." Just because we
Right.
consider something great and amazing, it might not be in someone else's eyes, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
It just might not.
Right. You're absolutely right. Because I mean, I wish everybody could be happy and loved and taught responsibility and those kind of things, all of those things. But it's not perfect either. Nobody's childhood is perfect. Nobody is perfect. but I can be sad that any child has to go through drug addicted parents and screaming and yelling and knowing adult things when you're way too young to know adult things. It's I can feel sad about that, I think.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that, I mean, I don't know if most, I can't speak for others, but I also feel bad for anybody that grew up going through all of those type of experience that is, it's trauma. It's trauma on a brain of a young child, and it does affect them moving forward. And I think that that's sad. I agree with you. I think it's incredibly sad.
Mm. Every child deserves to be a child. Old saying, when you lose a parent, you are called an orphan. When you lose a spouse, you are called a widow. The loss of a child is so deep there's no word for the pain. I do believe that word, isn't that what Valoma's name is for? Isn't that what, when you lose a child, you become a Valoma?
Yeah, I think you're right on that.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a very painful.
I think that what the most that we can do is try to flood at least this platform, if that's the one we're speaking on right now, is mainly like, what can we do on YouTube? The best we can do is to put out information and flyers. And so when we see that another creator has posted something, share it out. And you post something and try to flood YouTube with information and facts about Summer to keep her out there and circulating. And like I said, just kind of keep the light shining so that it doesn't all get put out with the darkness, with all of
Yeah.
the negative and bad. Because we did, I think, kind of realize now during this discussion that so many that do speak on the facts and truly have a heart for Summer, many of them and us have backed away. And so we can't control anybody. We can't stop these channels, unfortunately, that exploit. And I don't know that what you putting out clips and information, like I said, it does have a benefit to it. And I said that in chat too, because there are new people coming on YouTube every day, somebody new. And if all of the channels that are speaking the right information aren't speaking, all that's left is the voice that's misinformation and lies and exploiting Summer. And so I don't think that you mean harm. And another part is too with the intent. You could tell your intent versus some of these others.
Absolutely. I agree completely. And like Tragedy Pimps Exposed was saying in here earlier about I don't know if someone was saying it to her, maybe it was Jones. Anyway, continuing to spread awareness can be a good thing, even if your version of spreading that awareness is to call out the lies and the misinformation and behavior. Um, my point in all
Agree.
this though was it's become exhausting in her case, and I hate to even say that because who the heck am I? Who the heck am I to say this has become exhausting? I'm nobody. I'm absolutely nobody. Um, it's just become exhausting to witness this repeated cycle over and over. This the grabs for whatever their intentions are for those grabs, because I don't know what they are, but it just breaks my heart completely. 110% breaks my heart to see Summer lost in her own case.
She really is, but there's just not that much to cover right now
Nope.
in her case. And to continue, I mean, every time I go in somewhere, it's somebody pulling up old stuff, and a lot of times it's old misinformation they've watched an old video that had misinformation, and now it started again. It was disproved at the time, and now it's going through that cycle again. Like you said, it's just constant cycles, and nothing's helping her. And we're not finding her. We're not helping law enforcement. We're not helping anything. It sucks.
I think that all goes back to, the end. What can we do? What can we do? What are we entitled to do? And the only thing we're entitled to do is share her story and stick as close to the facts as humanly possible.
Agreed.
Oh,
It said,
that's all I've got. That's all
he
I've
said,
got for this one, girls.
follow the grain said Veloma means against the natural order of things.
That's what it is. I knew there was something with her name. I hear an echo. I don't know if it's me or not.
Watch out, puppies.
I just want to encourage everyone to continue sharing her information. I'm going to link this channel again because it's got, she's got a great community tab full of posts where it's linking back to TBI. It's sharing the factual information, which, although it isn't much, it's sharing it. And so I want to encourage people to share that out on their platforms.
Are doing this, and I just wanted to come up, and I've noticed that the subscribers is a big thing, like seeing people go between chats and spread misinformation and try to amp up, oh, this creator is talking about you over here, and
Yep.
that kind of thing. It's a lot. And if you just watch the chats, like, do that from time to time. If you don't, just watch the chat.
You could have a full-time job debunking statements out of the chat. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
the chat is crazy. I watched a chat the other day. Actually, I did. It wasn't even the chat. It was one sub. I watched this sub in one channel take what this creator was saying, and the creator, who it's not someone I would even promote, but I actually agreed because they were sharing one tiny piece of factual information. Well, then later that night, I see that sub in another person's chat, and they totally twisted it. It's like a game of telephone, a horrible game of telephone.
Oh yeah, that's a good comparison.
It is.
And that creator picked up what this sub had said, even though the original creator told him the factual piece. The next creator picked it up and was like, "Oh, well, I didn't know that. Okay."
Yeah.
Like, oh no.
I mean, there could be somebody lurking in the bushes today who's going to go and say, "Do you know that Deeds and Chasing and Burden agree with Dawn saying the N-word?" They do. It's true. And people believe it too.
Yep.
They will, and
Sure.
that we all support the parents, and what did they call us, sympathizers, because we said not we wouldn't like go against them completely. I'm not a sympathizer, but I think a million times I've said they are human beings, and we don't know what happened to Summer.
No.
Yeah.
So why would I accuse them publicly when I don't know? I don't know what happened.
Yeah, you got to take your personal feelings out of it too, because you may or may not like Dawn and Candace, but that's irrelevant to everything else. Like, I definitely don't like a lot of stuff that's gone on lately. A lot of it.
I don't think I like any of it.
Yeah, we could turn this into a gossip session right now and be like, "Did you see what Kathy said? Did you? Oh my God, girl, bye. Did you see what happened?" Well, but it isn't about them. It's about
I think it's
Summer and not
really
them.
interesting. What's really interesting is Deets had about 100 more people in here a little while ago who came in just long enough to see
Mm-hmm.
if we
Yeah.
were spilling some tea.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we didn't, and they left.
Yep.
I don't even pay attention to that, so good for
Mhm.
them. But I get what
I
you're
It
don't
is
either.
saying.
funny
happens.
when you look at the numbers watching, and it's not because you care about the numbers, it's just you see behavior of subs that come running in because they think you're going to talk on something and
Mhm.
bash, and if you don't, you watch the number go right on down, and like
Exactly.
it's really interesting. So take a look next time
We'll
that
go
you're
out
talking on
there.
something.
Go out there and tell people we're trashing on the wells. We'll see. See it
Yeah.
shoot
Yeah.
right up.
Yeah, it'll whoop. And I want to say to you guys, if you're not subbed up to Burden of Proof, please do. I sat there and
Mhm.
watched her talk about the Oklahoma killings the other day with all of the information. She was playing news conferences. She was playing reading articles, playing all the interviews, and there were, I think, what, 20 people in there. Burden.
Which
Yeah.
is crazy, you know.
Absolutely insane. It was all factual information, every
Thank
bit of
you.
it.
Yeah.
So
Thank
if you
you.
guys haven't, please, please, please do, because I think she's a wonderful creator. And I don't know, we don't know each other, so I'm
No.
not. It's not like a pimping my friend, but there are a lot of really good channels out there that are factual, but people don't like to just go through the
Okay,
facts.
hang on one second. Molly Collie, I never put people in timeout, but there
What?
you go, ma'am. Um, she just came in and called the Wells killers. We don't know that. We don't know that. And
Oh my
then
gosh, no.
called us ass lickers or something. I don't know, but we
Okay.
don't
I
know.
bet you're a troll.
Yeah,
I bet you wouldn't try it
and I don't even mind trolls.
under your real
I enjoy
name.
the fun trolls, but
Yeah.
that was just it was complete misinformation. We don't know what they've done or what they haven't done. And if you do, if you know that they are baby killers, please reach out to law enforcement with that
Yeah.
factual information.
Right.
Yep.
I don't have it
Uh,
though.
I've learned, my friends are teaching me to have a duck's back. So okay,
Yeah.
It's hard,
okay.
isn't it? But
If that's what you think, okay.
I love how you said that, a duck's back, instead of just saying water off a duck's back. That's
The
great.
water
Yeah,
off a duck. She's just
Yeah,
like, I just have a duck's back.
exactly.
that's it.
yeah. I'm trying to gain a duck's back here.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
So,
this community is pretty brutal, right? I mean,
It
it's
is.
rough. It can be rough, but countries in the chat, XX country. She
hey,
came from the
country.
community I came from.
Yeah.
It would tear y'all. People would cry.
Mhm.
Hmm.
They'd tear these people to pieces if they knew what was going on over here, because it's a mess. And it would be back to back to back to back to back lives,
Yep.
exposing, doing all the things because that's what went on, you know. And they were whew, brutal, brutal, but they felt like they had a purpose too. There were people who were on the side of the girl to get justice for her, and there were people on the side of exploiting her for the content. And
Right.
Right.
it became a war. And I mean, I guess I see some of that in this community, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah, well,
Just
but
a little.
the
There are a
people
couple of
who,
people who came from a similar community to what the one you're talking about, who used those tactics in this case.
oh, Dropwood
Back
girl,
to back to
country.
back. Yeah. The
Can you
lies, the
imagine? We had a dude named Straight Drop. Boy, bye.
Same.
There, he would, yeah, people wouldn't sleep anymore. We did not sleep because it was every thread that they could find to pick the lying people to pieces. It was insanity. It never ended. But the people here, we've become so accustomed to the nonsense now, to the bullshit, and to see how quick these people are to call or dox or do the things that we're like, well, we don't want that done to us. So
Mhm.
the side that is saying, please stop doing this, is not as vocal as we could be, because the people on the other side are
try to destroy you, literally, like your whole life.
right,
Mm,
right. Yep.
Call
whoever's
people's
loudest.
work. Yeah.
But I guess that just goes to show what we were
Being
talking
Tracy.
about earlier. If there is some drama going on, that's absolutely going to be more attractive than a conversation about why this shouldn't be taking place.
Right.
Can we get like them dizzy? I mean, drop did teach us a lot.
Fight fire.
Oh, it was fire all day, every day. Like you'd
Mm,
crack your eye open and they were live, and you'd go to sleep with them live because they weren't
Mhm.
budging for Kanika Jenkins. It was going
yeah.
to be how it was going to be, and you were not going to mess up her case. And it got insane, and I see the
Yep.
same characteristics here in these people. So it's like, to me, a replay in my mind. Like, oh my god, that one reminds me of that one. This one reminds me of that
Yeah.
one. And it's, hey, don't you bark at anybody. Get over here.
But what,
Yeah.
and I get what you're saying happened in that community, but what would that, I mean, we could sit on a live 24/7, rotate, people on the panel in and out. We could be, playing out all this bad behavior over and over and highlighting it on a 24 stream. How's that
Sure.
going to help Summer?
Right.
Well, it's about correcting the
Mm.
misinformation. Um, uh, After a while,
Mm-hmm.
all of them became misinformation, and it
And
became
that's what
blurred.
happened.
It became
Yeah.
insane, blurred, and it became a personal issue between creators. And that's what's gone on here too. The
Yep.
same pattern that the KJ community took, this one took. And now it's between a prayer garden and a critter crime lady. It
Mm-hmm.
becomes that, instead of, you put out this misinformation, I'm going to correct it. It
Right.
became
Right.
a personal issue.
It
And that's
became
when the
those
doxing happened.
stories.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, because there are a few creators, and they're big now. They have tons of subscribers,
Yeah.
and you can't say anything about them because then if you go live to speak on the misinformation they're spreading, all of these people come over and just attack the whole time.
Yeah.
They may leave comments on everything you say or do, and it's like we can't even have like the conversation we're having now. I was really grateful for because we couldn't have this like on my channel.
Right.
It would turn into like people fighting in the chat,
And
regardless of how we tried to handle it.
I've often thought about having an open panel for the Summer Wells creators to discuss the
Hmm.
the behaviors, right?
Yeah.
Uh, I used to think about, country can tell you, I used to want to do that in our old community.
Mm.
And there's a guy named Huggy Pacino, and he was like, stop. Huggy's my man from Memphis. He's like, you ain't gonna fix it and you ain't gonna solve it because these people don't want to be better and they don't want to do better.
That's
You want them
exactly it.
to, you want
Well,
to
yeah, because
believe, but they're not.
Tracy, what are you going to do when the creators come up there and some of them are the biggest issue and they're talking like they're not?
Well,
Talk to them
It,
about it.
I'm
because
not
they do that.
chasing, but I would have welcomed it tonight. I was hoping some people would pop up here that, completely disagree and don't think it's a shit show and they don't think that there's chaos in the Summer Wells community and that they think that this should continue and that nothing's being exploited and nothing's wrong. But unfortunately, we didn't hear
Yep.
from those. I would welcome it.
Well, well,
Yeah.
there's the other problem too of the people that are creating these problems and perpetuating the issues that claim other people are doing it. They don't they claim they're not part of the problem, the hypocritical stuff. So what do you do when that one of those creators comes up and is agreeing with you completely, but they're one of the people that does it the worst?
Well, you have to have some tact and some courtesy and say,
Yeah,
well, I did see that, you're doing this, and you might not see that wrong, but I do, and I wouldn't have done this. So why are you doing that? And then they
right.
can explain, well, because everybody's a suspect, because this,
Mhm.
and this made me suspicious. Well,
Okay.
what if I
Yeah.
told you that what you think about this situation is not accurate? And then you have to prove, well, here's what I
What
have on.
what if
Here you
I
go.
think you're suspicious?
Yeah, we're adults and we did
Yeah.
Yeah.
not get to the ages we are without being able to work in business
Right.
environments and deal with our children's teachers, even though you want to punch them
Hmm.
sometimes when they're being mean to your kid, or, the bully's mom, or the people at the supermarket who just piss you off because they're walking too damn slow and you need to want to smack the shit out of them. Same thing. Yeah.
but
Oh,
I mean, let's be honest. It is, you cannot deal with some of the people in this community like you would in deal with a coworker that got on your nerves or wasn't being honest or you can't deal with it that way.
I think one on one you can.
Yeah.
I
Oh
think,
yeah.
you know, if five of us were up here, absolutely, you could. If you just resolved up front, we're going to keep it calm no matter what. Damn. That's it.
Here's Scott.
Well,
Tommy
right.
slobbering him. Tommy
I
just
I
slobbered
I think it's
him.
completely possible. It's absolutely possible to do that. You just have to engage with each other like adults and not this whole screaming match going back and forth
Oh
and
God, yeah.
craziness. And I know there are some people that refuse to do that, but for the most part, when you remain calm and level-headed, people engage with you in that manner as well.
Yeah.
Well, I saw you on a panel where that did not happen.
Right.
Me
Deets,
But
well,
or
I was gonna
Deets?
say Deets was calm,
Deets did a
but
great job. Deets
yeah,
did a fantastic job on that panel,
Oh,
but
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
the other one
yeah,
wasn't so calm.
Mhm.
Yep.
yeah,
right. Well,
yeah,
there's no debating people that all they want to do is scream or, like I
yeah,
said, there's people that listen to understand and people that just wait until it's their turn to speak. And
Mhm.
there's no going back and forth with a person like that at all. So,
Of course
right.
it is.
Mm.
I mean, you can do it. You could go back and forth with a person like that, but I doubt you're going to get anywhere with them.
Right. Yeah. You're not going to come to any understanding, that's for sure.
No, you sure
Well,
aren't.
Deets, like you said a couple of nights ago, like with the stuff where Dawn was, what, or I think it was the Dawn and Jody Sue thing that you were talking about, is that how does it get that? Oh no, you were talking about Dawn that just a couple of nights ago, and you don't get anywhere.
Mm-mm.
What is the benefit of keeping him up on panel like that?
I'd like to know. I would truly
Girl,
would.
bye. Views. That
I
was all
know.
it
Yeah,
was about.
yeah.
Nothing else. Not one other thing.
Well, I know the chat turned really fast when that
Sure.
word kept being used. They
Oh,
turned really fast,
sure.
and eventually the live was ended. But I think it was
Mhm.
because of the reaction from the chat, and I thought, okay, that's the right thing to do to take it down. But then they put it right back
Good
up.
question. Where do you
Right.
find music on Instagram?
In Reels, Mr. President. You find music in Reels on Instagram.
Uh,
You're welcome. I have all the deets.
yeah, she does. She
Reels.
knows it all. Yeah, yeah, Nana, that's
Okay.
right. She did. She put it back up, and I was like, "Wait a minute." I thought, "Why would you put that back up?" Well, like Tracy said, views.
And that's period. Because if you truly were concerned about summer, and I'm talking now about the other channel where the neighbor was screeching like a cat with its fucking tail in a car, you would have muted and said, this is her channel, and that's what we
Mhm.
care about here. And you are going to get your point across calmly, or you're not going to get your point across at all
Right.
because I have the mute button and you don't. And
Well,
that's
that
it.
is
Exactly.
the only control that we have, like as a creator, is your own channel, your own platform,
Sure.
right? And you can control what goes on there, and what goes on in your chat. And as viewers, we control it by being factual, and when people are in chat saying things that are incorrect, that we correct them. And
Hmm.
I've been called names for correcting misinformation.
I mean, I picked
Um,
great
Even when I
mods.
try to do it kindly, but
Yeah, you
it's
pick the
still
right
you still get
moderators who know what you
mhm,
stand for and know what you're going to allow in the chat, and you
right,
use your mute button and you use your voice. It's your channel. If
Hmm.
those two were on my channel, that it would not have happened like that because I would have kicked one off or put one in the backstage. So this isn't you're so completely disrespectful to Summer by doing this.
right.
This is not what this is about.
You wouldn't say it in public.
And
In
I would
public,
love I would love
you
to
over here
see
talking shit.
people in chats, um, standing for the right and like for right things. I see a lot of people doing it, but I would love to see more of that where people are like kindly saying, "Yeah, that's not what happened," or "That's not true." Um, but
Do you,
I know people like to stay quiet because they don't want to get into an argument. I mean, I get it.
well, I do believe that there is a way when you are correcting misinformation that, people will view it one way versus if you approach it, in another manner, they'll view it another way. But my question is, do you think that some just don't even know the factual information? They don't.
Right,
And I don't know what to say to that because we're 2 years in and so much factual information is out there, but that they can go and find,
They're too
and
lazy. Nobody
I know.
researches. Mhm.
But then there's just I feel like I would be hypocritical if I said, "Okay, well, we'll start a new, series over and go through all the factual information again." Well, then I don't know if it's any better than, because by factual information, you would be, including more than just what the TBI has. If you're weeding
Sure.
through everything that's out there on YouTube, it's the same as what other channels are doing right now.
No,
So,
you could put together factual information, upload it, turn your ads off, and
mhm,
there you go. You're done. You've uploaded. It is out there. It's tagged properly so that people can find it, and that's it. It isn't
mhm.
causing a shit show by going live and trying to go over the. I can't. I know I
But
can't.
those
But my
but those are
anger is
out
too
there.
much.
Yeah, those are out there
they
though.
are.
I mean, even,
But they're old.
Annie just did one that's pretty factual. I mean, it has
Hmm.
a
A
few
lot of
things
views
wrong,
though.
but for the most part, it's pretty accurate.
Hmm.
And like you said, tons of views. So
Hmm.
why are subs still getting this wrong? And I
Well,
truly think
because
it's
the
because they
people who
want the
watch
reality
Annie
TV show. Yeah.
the people who watch Annie are not watching. Sorry, PG. They're not,
Mm-mm.
or they're. It's not the same people for the
Yeah.
most part. So people who tune into her, they're looking for a variety of different things, and they may not even know the story, right? So they're hearing it, but people who watch the channels who only focus on Summer, they know, but they sometimes stick with only certain creators. So they're just going to believe what that creator says because they feel most welcome there. And that's where they're comfortable to be.
Mhm.
And whatever
I
they're
agree.
preaching matches up with what they believe. If you
Yeah.
believe Dawn and Candace are demons, you're going to want to be in a chat with a creator who believes the same thing. And that's what they're
Mhm.
talking about all the time, right?
Right,
Like
right.
attracts like. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she just gets more and more lost in her own case.
Yeah, it's people like to go and be around like-minded people, and I'm actually thankful for it in a way because I don't
Mhm.
do speculations and cr- crazy theories that are far-fetched, and I don't attack anybody in the case, and I don't make a villain and all of that. That is way too boring for anybody that's here to watch a show. So they'll come in, they see it, and they're like, I don't want to hear about this. There's no drama here, man. What is it? And they leave. See ya. Goodbye. And I'm thankful for it because sure, I got a small channel, but I know that all of the people, or at least most, I don't know all of them, but the majority of them that have subscribed for a they're like-minded. They have the same interest as I do, which is wanting to put out awareness about the missing or those that have had their lives taken from them. And And so I have a good community that I know is there for the right reason or the same reason I feel is right.
Yeah.
The rest, they're like, oh man, we can't talk trash anybody in here. Like, I'm out of here. And they take off. And so, yeah, I got a small channel because of it. But my moral compass wouldn't allow me to be any other way. I wouldn't be able to put my head down at night and go to sleep if I were to behave as some of these other creators do. So, in a sense, I'm thankful that they're like,
Right.
don't stick around, because I don't want to see that. I don't want them bringing in the lies and all of that. I don't want it in my chat, confusing people. And that's why if someone does, I do stop and say, you can't call that truth. We don't know that. People can have an opinion. I don't stop people from their opinions as long as it's respectfully put out there.
Right.
I'm not going to tell someone you can't think that way or this way. Everyone can have their opinion. Just be respectful when you share it, and respectful with everybody else in chat if you both have differing opinions. And so, but when it comes to just blatantly putting out lies and misinformation, I do put a stop to it. But so
And
in that
that's,
sense, I'm glad
yeah.
for
No, and that's great, because I think that it's very important to do that and to handle your channel in that manner. And I prefer this. I don't care the amount that's in here to listen to us talk about this topic, as opposed to if I, went live tonight and discussed situation at hand with Avery or Laura, I know it would be 4 times more views, but I feel this conversation is important. This topic is
Yes.
important as well, and it deserves to be discussed also.
I agree with you completely.
Yeah.
I was actually going to thank you for doing this because I think it's a very important topic.
And I'd much
is.
rather
Me too.
have it instead of just, like I said, bursting somewhere else, because I feel like we're all stuck in a rat race. And by saying we all, I don't mean anyone specifically, but I do feel like this whole thing is stuck in a rat race.
Mm-hmm. It is. And it's too much at this point.
Hmm.
What's the solution, though?
Well, Tracy, you need to have the panel you talked about.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Hmm.
No, they didn't say president. They weren't even talking to you, bro.
I'm
listening. It's not your business. Listen to your own phone over there. You fuck around and find out. Yeah, I already nothing's gonna happen. Shush your mouth. Let this dog put some more slobber on me. I'm gonna flick that shit on you.
Well, Mr. Dietz is home, so I'm gonna hang out with him for the rest of the night. But I want to thank you girls for coming up and having
Don't be
the
making the rest of us
conversation
look
with
bad,
me.
Deets. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Sorry.
Thank you so much, Steets. Seriously,
Thank you.
thank you. It
Yeah.
is nice talking to you, Burden.
Good talking
Tracy,
with you.
I never talked to
Mm-hmm.
Tracy or
Yeah,
Deets, so
never.
it
We
is
never
nice.
talk. I
We
still
Never
never.
don't
hear,
talk. See?
never hear from this lady.
Never.
Okay, love you guys.
All right,
Love
you too.
you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Deets. I appreciate you doing this very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Burden. Thank you for coming up and having that conversation with me. I appreciate
Yes.
it. I appreciate your conversation and Tracy's and Jenny's and in the chat tonight. It meant a lot to be able to get all of this off my chest. So thank you all for coming and listening.
Absolutely. Thank you. Have a good night and enjoy
Good
time
night.
with your husband.
Thank you, love.
Mhm.
So thank you guys. I truly appreciate it, and I feel like it's nice to know that so many feel the same, that we're all just frustrated with everything that's being said and being done on these YouTube streets in the name of Summer Wells. And I think together we'll come up with a solution. I'm hopeful for that. I truly am. Remember to share her face, share her story, share out the 1-800 TBI find, and help us to just remember to keep the main thing when as it pertains to summer. So thank you guys for coming, and I'll see you on the next one. Love, love.